Chapter 1474. As the master of the dark region, Lei Tong was naturally much stronger than Qian He and the others. He easily crossed the 5,000-meter boundary and stopped at 6,800 meters. Lei Tong frowned and nodded. This position is the best balance point. I won't be pressured by the spatial restrictions and can focus on cultivating. Lei Tong's tiger eyes swept around as he thought. I haven't seen Brother Lin along the way. Could he be even further ahead? Lei Tong's heart trembled. He was well aware of Lin Feng's strength. Lin Feng's battle strength was even stronger than his. However, battle strength was one aspect, and strength was another. He was the master of the dark region. Now, he was inferior to Lin Feng in all aspects. It was a bit embarrassing. I'm an elder of the Thousand Search tribe and the master of the dark region. Lei Tong bitterly smiled and shook his head. His tiger eyes lit up as he moved forward. He wanted to see where Lin Feng was. How big was the gap between him and Lin Feng? 6,800 meters was naturally not Lei Tong's limit. However, if he went any further, he would have to consume energy to resist the spatial restrictions. The more energy he consumed, the less he could comprehend. 7,000 meters, 8,000 meters, 9,000 meters. Phew! Lei Tong's breathing became heavier. His face turned pale as he tried to suppress it. 9,000 meters was already very close to his limit. Lei Tong knew clearly that he could not reach 10,000 meters. I still haven't seen Brother Lin? Lei Tong was stunned. It was hard to imagine that Lin Feng could cultivate and comprehend in such an environment. It was truly shocking. Even the master of the dark region couldn't resist it. How could he cultivate while resisting? Lei Tong was even more curious. He walked forward step by step, staring straight ahead. Every step was heavy. An unstoppable pressure came from all directions, wanting to drown him. 9,200 meters, 9,400 meters, 9,500 meters. Lei Tong's breathing became more and more rapid as his body trembled. This wasn't something that could be made up for with willpower. His body had truly reached its limit. His eyes were hazy as he seemed to see a black figure floating in this spatial world. It was as steady as a rock. That figure wasn't very tall, but it was as majestic as a mountain. Pung! Feeling a stifling sensation in his chest, Lei Tong staggered backward. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels were churning violently. They entered slowly but retreated quickly. Soon, they were back to 6,800 meters away. Lei Tong was gasping for breath. His majestic corporeal body was exhausted, and his eyes were shaking. It was too shocking. Brother Lin is cultivating close to 10,000 meters away. Lei Tong shook his head in disbelief and mumbled, "What kind of monster is this?" "He's just an immortal chaos hole." An immortal chaos hole possessed such terrifying power. If Brother Lin is willing to join our Thousand Search tribe, we will definitely become a powerful tribe in the future. Lei Tong's eyes shone brightly as he looked into the distance. I just don't know if he is willing. This level of strength and potential is probably as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns in the entire mighty Thunder Clan. Lei Tong sighed softly. However, comparisons were odious. 9,900 meters. This was where Lin Feng was currently at. In this spatial world, not only was it difficult to transmit energy, but visibility was also quite low. Lin Feng did not notice Lei Tong's arrival. He was currently immersed in the world of comprehension. Lin Feng was able to enter so deep because of his powerful corporeal body and his bloodline. The black vortex had absorbed a considerable amount of spatial energy, so the pressure on Lin Feng was greatly reduced. Otherwise, no matter how outstanding Lin Feng's combat strength was, his strength would still be limited. Intermediate true meaning, spatial suppression. Lin Feng entered his own world and immersed himself in the concept of space. He was comprehending heaven and earth, the world, and the true concept of space. His mind was blank. The surrounding space was sometimes clear and sometimes blurry. Sometimes it turned into clouds and sometimes it condensed into stars. Waves of powerful energy contained the true meaning of space law. Immersed in this world, he did not know how much time had passed. It was very difficult to comprehend even a trace of space law. The Milky Way was particular about progressing step by step. Using the law pyramid as an example, one had to comprehend the upper laws to the peak before they could grasp the space law level. The higher one went, the more they would come in contact with. But here, because of the proliferation of spatial energy and the strength of space law, there were traces of the law pyramid. It was as if there was a ladder outside the pyramid that went straight to the top. So difficult. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He could not feel the boundary at all. No matter how strong the space law was and how rich the spatial energy was, his foundation was too weak. To reach the heavens in one step was like a myth. Almost a year. Lin Feng sighed and nodded. Let's cultivate for another 10 years or so. He wanted to test his spatial talent and did not think about whether he could directly comprehend space law. No matter how outstanding his spatial talent was, comprehension was usually calculated in epoch. 10 years? It was just a snap of a finger. Gaining merits was also very important. 1,000,000 merits would allow him to enter the Yurin secret realm. After all, such an opportunity could only come once. As for the spatial suppression secret realm, as long as he wanted to, he could enter again at any time. North Continent on a lofty mountain range. The thick smell of blood permeated the wet soil. 10 cultivators sat in pairs, and there were at least 100 winged men corpses on the ground. It's been almost 10 years, and there are still no clues about that bastard. Golden Lion Saint King gritted his teeth. Maybe he's already dead. Son of the Heavenly Dragon sneered. With his and Hua's strength, how could they survive alone? Golden Lion Saint King nodded. That day, the two of us almost died there. Fortunately, boss, you saved us. Son of the Heavenly Dragon's eyes were filled with hatred. That damn guy, he almost wanted the two of us to die with him. Golden Lion Saint King snorted and raised his head. You and I have not wasted these 10 years. We have constantly comprehended and broken through in battle. We are no longer the same as before. A mere Lin Feng is nothing. The two looked at each other and smiled, full of confidence and pride. After adapting to life in the North Continent, this place was like heaven for cultivators. The Master of Dark Region was no longer out of reach. Golden Lion Saint King and Son of the Heavenly Dragon were both overflowing with talent. Naturally, their strength improved quickly. My current combat strength is between 35th and 40th on the Milky Way Saint King board. Golden Lion Saint King smiled confidently. He, who was originally ranked 50th, had improved greatly. Although it was only 10 ranks, the further he went, the greater the difference in strength. I'm also around 70th. Son of the Heavenly Dragon smiled valiantly. If we really meet that kid, you don't need to do anything. I can handle him alone. Good. Golden Lion Saint King's eyes shone brightly. Looking at each other and smiling, the two were satisfied. Chapter 1475. In the Space Secret Realm. In the blink of an eye, Lin Feng had been cultivating here for 10 years. How could it be so easy to comprehend the space laws? Not to mention, this was a mid-level true meaning, which was much harder to comprehend than a beginner true meaning. However, Lin Feng had gained something in these 10 years. In his bloodline, the bottomless black whirlpool gradually felt saturated. Lin Feng, who had always been ignorant about his own bloodline, felt that it was completely different from before. Just like watering, 10 years of time had greatly improved the black whirlpool. It was a brand new power, a brand new level. Hua, the overflowing space energy turned into endless power and fused in his body. Like a black hole collapsing, a violent bang exploded in his body. In the endless depths of the black whirlpool, ZZZ divine inscriptions appeared on Lin Feng's skin, and they shone even brighter than before. Lin Feng opened his eyes, and they gleamed with a bright light. He swept his gaze across the entire secret realm, and he could clearly see the spatial energy fluctuations, and regions in every corner. What a strong spatial sensing ability! Lin Feng was shocked. Looking down, his gaze fell on his body. His body looked the same, but his body had undergone a drastic change. The change in his bloodline. The black whirlpool has evolved. At this time, Lin Feng could clearly sense the surrounding space energy, and even the faint fluctuations of the laws. He stepped forward, and the space energy entered his body at a faster and more rapid speed than before. However, his body did not feel any pressure. It was as if he was in his own world, and he was indifferent. The black whirlpool can absorb energy to evolve, but what about the light and darkness body? Lin Feng's heart was clear. His eyes flashed with light. If I absorb enough light and dark energy, will it be the same? He was very curious. Lin Feng was still confident about his own bloodline. The bloodline that originated from Earth was a 9-star life form. However, as time passed, the current Earth was very different from the past. His bloodline was constantly weakening, and his potential was extremely compressed and hidden. It wasn't that his bloodline had deteriorated, but that he had hidden it too deeply. Previously, when he was in the Milky Way, he had spent a lot of effort to improve his bloodline, but the results were also amazing. Although it was only one level of advancement, the strength of his bloodline was already the strongest in the Milky Way. Now there was hope for the improvement of his bloodline. The divine vein of light, the divine vein of darkness, and the black vortex. Lin Feng sensed his body. The new black vortex was slightly larger than before. The vortex was larger, denser, and deeper. Every time it spun, it absorbed more spatial energy. At least 10 times. If this is the next stage of my bloodline, I've already completed 1/3 of it. Lin Feng slowly made his way deeper into the spatial secret realm. The size of this secret realm was unfathomable. Even after absorbing so much spatial energy, it still hadn't weakened in the slightest. The deeper he went, the more he felt the mysterious power of this space-suppressing secret realm. 15,000 meters, 25,000 meters, 40,000 meters. Lin Feng was very curious about how deep the space-suppressing secret realm was, but when he reached 60,000 meters, he still couldn't see the bottom. It was like a path to the other side, incomparably mysterious. At this time, Lin Feng felt the pressure. The heavy pressure began to condense. The advanced black vortex had improved Lin Feng a lot, but in essence, he was still an immortal chaotic whole. He hadn't really adapted to this space-suppressing secret realm, nor had he fully comprehended the true meaning of space. Keep going. Lin Feng wanted to explore the deepest part, but before he reached 70,000 meters, he had to turn back. If he went any further, it would exceed his limit. The true meaning of space compression here is more than 100 times clearer than it was at 10,000 meters. Lin Feng took a deep look at the deepest part of the secret realm again, and then retreated. From 70,000 meters to 50,000 meters, 30,000 meters, and then back to 9,900 meters. The true meaning of space compression here is at least 10 times stronger than before. Lin Feng knew that this was not because of the changes in the secret realm, but because of the changes in his bloodline. The transformation of the black vortex to the second stage had benefited him greatly. Just the spatial energy explosion alone is 10 times stronger than before. Lin Feng clenched his fist. He could feel the astonishing spatial energy hidden in the black vortex. Although he couldn't use it because he hadn't comprehended the laws, just the explosion of spatial energy was enough. If I encounter an ordinary winged man again, I'll be able to kill him directly. Lin Feng was full of confidence. After entering the depths of the secret realm, Lin Feng immediately retreated. The more he understood the true meaning of space compression, the more he understood how difficult it was to comprehend the laws. It wasn't something that could be done overnight. Even if his spatial perception had improved greatly, it was still the same. It was very difficult to go from an immortal chaotic whole to a master of black domain. It was even more difficult to break through with a mid-level true meaning. He wasn't in a hurry. In any case, my current battle strength is already comparable to that of the black domain master. Moreover, Lin Feng nodded inwardly. He knew the path he wanted to take. He didn't want to become the black domain master directly. Instead, he wanted to become an immortal chaotic whole first. Once he reached the highest level of immortal chaotic whole, he would become the black domain master. That way, it would be more helpful to his future. Lei Tong, Qian He, Qian Yingying, and the others were immersed in comprehending the true meaning of space compression, including Ni Xian. Lin Feng left the secret realm alone and returned to the underground tribe. I'll return to the White Will tribe first and see if I can use EXIN as a reward to enter the Cosmos Saint Pillar Palace, Lin Feng said softly. Although he was alone now, he could attack or retreat as he pleased. Even if he encountered a team of 6 winged men, he was confident he could defeat them. Not to mention, he had a 6-winged man as a servant. If there are more winged men like Gadon, I'll have a team of 6 winged men. Lin Feng smiled and relaxed. He left the underground tribe and quickly returned to the ancient castle. He looked around. Although he was still in the same area, he was now much more familiar with it. In his mind, he had already received all of Gadon's memories. White Wheel Tribe. Oh, this way. Lin Feng was like a phantom as he sped away. Chi, chi, chi. The saber pierced through the hailstones with unparalleled ferocity. A 6-winged man team of 11 winged men was instantly killed. Lin Feng held the soul-severing saber in his hand with a calm expression. It was as if he was warming up. He didn't seem to be straining at all. Now, even without Ni Xian's help, he had become a true powerhouse and could establish himself in the North Continent. Chapter 1476. Lin Feng was very familiar with the surrounding terrain. This was where the winged men lived. Winged men often appeared here, and there was even a small winged men tribe. In the North Continent, even the winged men would not act recklessly. The construction of the tribe was usually more careful. Of course, compared to humans, the winged men tribe was more open. To go or not to go? Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Normally, the winged men tribe would have some treasures, such as various fruits of heaven and earth, winged hearts, and spoils of war obtained from killing humans and the Chan River Demon clan. Unlike the underground tribe in the ancient castle, it was more of a temporary tribe with a teleportation array. It was not a formal tribe. The formal winged men tribe was similar to humans in that they would have items in storage. Lin Feng nodded. It's just a small tribe. There must be 6 winged men, but there aren't many of them. Now that humans and the winged men tribe are at war, they won't hide in the tribe. The scale of the winged men tribe was naturally much larger than that of humans. Normally, a small tribe would have thousands of winged men, which was different from the winged men tribe in the ancient castle. The bloodline of the winged men tribe also had advantages and disadvantages. Normally, the bloodline of a small tribe would not be too strong. The ratio of 2 winged men to 4 winged men, and 4 winged men to 6 winged men would be less than 10%. In the winged men tribe with good bloodlines, there would be 1 6-winged man in 100 winged men. In the winged men tribe with average bloodlines, there would only be 1 6-winged man in 100 winged men, and the strength of this 6-winged man was usually very ordinary. At most, I'll bump into a few ordinary 6-winged men. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Moreover, the winged men of small tribes might not have high self-esteem. Maybe I can get a servant? Lin Feng smiled. He knew that it would not be easy to get a servant. After all, the winged men tribe was the ruler of the Ting Chi continent. How could they be a servant to a human? This was worse than death for them. However, it was better to try than not try. Let's go. Lin Feng's heart moved, and he immediately sped away. Today, he was a completely different person from 10 years ago when he had just left Yurin City to carry out a merit mission. The increase in strength brought about confidence. A colorful forest. This was the name given by the Winged Clan. This forest was densely planted with colorful flowers. The flowers bloomed like a peacock spreading its tail. It was very beautiful. The forest was huge, and colorful pollen filled the air. It was easy to hallucinate if one breathed in. The Hun tribe was located in the colorful forest. It was not too hidden, but it was not open either. After all, it was extremely dangerous to search for the Winged Men tribe in the forest. Normally, humans would rarely enter forests and mountainous areas because those were the areas that the Winged Men clan frequented the most. Unless he had enough confidence in himself. Master, be careful. The number of 6 winged wings in the Hun tribe is around 10 all year round. Even if they go out to hunt, there will usually be 4 or 5 of them. Gadon led the way. Lin Feng nodded. Although he had Gadon's memories, it was too difficult to find the Xiong tribe in this dense forest without any coordinates. With Gadon leading the way, things were different. They leaped all the way. Soon, they were close to their destination. Please wait for a moment, Master. I'll go check it out first, Jia Dong said. Lin Feng nodded. Jia Dong was indeed his servant, but the other winged men did not know. Although it was conservative, it was the safest way for him to go in and check for information. Lin Feng waited patiently. Soon, Jia Dong's information appeared in his mind. Hua Lin Feng's eyes flickered, and a scene suddenly appeared in his mind. It was a forest tribe, and many winged person experts were resting on the towering trees. They were either playing around, fighting in pairs, or cultivating diligently. The entire tribe was flourishing. At the side of the tribe, under a towering tree that was dozens of meters thick, dozens of men and women were tied up. They all had different appearances. Some were as charming as snakes, some were as strong as bulls, and some were ugly with long tails behind them. Chan River Demon Clan? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. The Demon Clan was easy to recognize. Not only were their auras different from humans, but their physical characteristics were also very different. Even if they walked the heaven-defying path of transformation, they could not truly become humans. The Chan River Demon Clan members who were tied up were all Chaos Whole Immortals. Among them was a ghostly young girl. Her snow-white skin looked like it was carved from jade. Her elf-like ears were slender and soft, and her eyes were bright and had a faint pink color. Compared to the humans of the Ting-Chi continent, this pink girl looked more like a human from the Milky Way. Her status seems to be very high, Lin Feng thought. The other Chan River Demon Clan members seemed to be very respectful to this pink girl, but they were all prisoners and could not help her. The pink girl's beautiful face was as calm as an ancient well. Even though she was trapped in the Winged Men clan, she did not show any abnormalities or fear. Lin Feng did not know much about the Chan River Demon clan. In fact, even the Winged Men clan did not know much about the Chan River Demon clan. Unlike humans, the Chan River Demon clan lived in the Chan River that ran through the Ting-Chi continent. Thus, they were called the Chan River Demon clan. The Chan River Demon clan members were all proficient in water. Not only were they unaffected by water, but they could also display extraordinary strength. It was just like how the Winged Men clan was invincible in the open sky. The Winged Men clan was not willing to enter the Chan River to fight to the death with the Chan River Demon clan. However, the Chan River Demon clan was not stupid enough to fight the Winged Men clan head-on. They had their own advantages. Once they left the Chan River, their strength would be reduced by at least 30%. Therefore, the Chan River Demon clan rarely appeared in the North Continent where the humans and the Winged Men clan fought fiercely. 6 winged men. Lin Feng was very satisfied. He did not care how many 4 winged men and 2 winged men there were. He only cared about the 6 winged men. Although he was fighting 1 against 3, he was still very confident. The current him was no longer the ignorant person he used to be. In addition, Jia Dong was fighting one of the 6 winged men, so it would be easy for him to defeat 2 of them. The scene in his mind suddenly cut off and reappeared in the next moment. It was different from the previous scene. It was a huge stone house with winged men clan experts guarding the door. It was obvious that the stone house was quite valuable. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He followed Jia Dong's line of sight and stared closely. Suddenly, a white figure appeared in the stone house. It had a powerful aura and huge wings that were spread out. They were pure and flawless white. An outstanding bloodline. The Xiong tribe actually has a 6-winged man with an outstanding bloodline. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. His chest rose and fell slightly, and his eyes flickered. He really wanted to compete with this 6-winged man king with an outstanding bloodline. It was not only because he was much stronger than ordinary winged men, but also because he alone was worth EXIN 1 million merit points. Chapter 1477. Having a good bloodline didn't mean one was strong. Just like many geniuses, they might not be able to match up to geniuses who had painstakingly cultivated. Black Domain Masters were divided into 3 levels of strength: ordinary Black Domain Masters, advanced Black Domain Masters, and the strongest Pinnacle Black Domain Masters. Ordinary Black Domain Masters were divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced Black Domain Masters. Ordinary Black Domain Masters weren't necessarily stronger than chaotic whole immortals. It was only because they had high attainments in space that they had a breakthrough in life level. Winged ones with strong bloodlines had an easier time becoming Black Domain Masters than ordinary winged ones. The 6-winged ones of the Xiong tribe are all ordinary Black Domain Masters. With Jia Dong as his spy, Lin Feng knew that it was almost impossible for a small tribe to have an advanced Black Domain Master. And the 6-winged ones of the Xiong tribe were all beginner Black Domain Masters. This was also why Lin Feng dared to challenge them. His current strength was close to that of an intermediate Black Domain Master. This 6-winged winged man monarch with an excellent bloodline is usually a beginner Black Domain Master, but it's possible that he's an intermediate Black Domain Master. At the same level of strength, the winged man monarch with an excellent bloodline was naturally stronger. Even beginner Black Domain Masters couldn't be underestimated. How can I know if I don't try? Lin Feng smiled. His figure flashed and disappeared. Whether it was the temptation of 1,000,000 merit points or the valiance of fighting against a powerhouse, they all made him excited. This Xiong tribe, he was definitely going to challenge it. Alone, Lin Feng's expression was calm. He was recuperating his mental state, looking forward to the fight with a powerhouse. Thinking back to when he had just entered the northern continent, even an ordinary 6-winged ones could easily kill him. Now it was the complete opposite. The 6-winged ones were beginner Black Domain Masters. He could already suppress them. Not to mention one-on-one, Lin Feng was confident that he could fight against 3, 5, or even 10 people. If I were on the Milky Way Saint King list, my current ranking would be within the top 30. Lin Feng smiled and slowed down. Jia Dong's guidance brought him to a huge oasis tribe. Lin Feng smiled and slowed down. At a glance, thousands of winged people were busy. Most of them were 2-winged people, but there was no lack of 4-winged people among them. As for the 6-winged winged people, there were very few of them. The Xiong tribe. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. There were at least a few million of such tribes in the northern continent. They would rise and fall from time to time. Only the emergence of a truly top-notch expert could strengthen the tribe. In the northern continent, the competition between the humans and the winged men was equally intense. Among them, there were winged men from the East Continent, South Continent, and West Continent. They belonged to the 3 8-winged human emperors and fought for themselves. Of course, there were also winged men who did not belong to any faction and were native to the North Continent. If it weren't for the fact that they were fighting for themselves, how could there be room for humans to breathe? Unlike the Chan River Yao tribe, the living conditions of humans were much more difficult. However, it was precisely because of these difficult conditions that human experts rose up one after another. For example, Emperor Yu. Humans were like the weeds on the grassland, unyielding and unyielding. Today, another human had come. He walked the same path as Emperor Yu, challenging an entire tribe with his own strength. It's a human. Reckless human. How dare he? The sharp-eyed winged men of the Xiong tribe instantly discovered Lin Feng's track. They had strong spatial senses, and Lin Feng did not hide his aura at all. This time, he entered openly and honestly. Chi. A black stream of light streaked across the sky. Lin Feng's battle saber reflected an extremely bright light, reflecting the boundless fighting spirit in his eyes. His strength was completely overwhelming. Boom. Boom, boom. Lin Feng's saber was like an erupting volcano, destroying everything in its path. Countless two-winged men and four-winged men were killed. His terrifying strength completely suppressed the strength of the winged men. Whoosh! His blood-red eyes were filled with the power of the dark demon. Lin Feng was not suffering from qi deviation. Instead, he had completely entered a state of slaughter. Every time he killed, his blood would boil and he would gain a deeper understanding of the dark demon. This was a demon. Demons were born with the blood of slaughter, and they used slaughter to prove their Tao. This human is so strong. Quick, go and inform the chief. Where are Xiongjin and Xionghe? Quick, get them to come out and fight. The winged men were not fools. Lin Feng's strength had been displayed in an instant. In a short while, thousands of winged men had been killed. What terrifying combat strength! Such a human expert was enough to attract the attention of the winged men. All along, the Xiong tribe had been too peaceful. They had never encountered such a situation. A human expert had come to the colorful forest alone and attacked their tribe. He had eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. Boom! The first six-winged man king of the Xiong tribe appeared. The moment he attacked, he caused the space to tremble. Hidden within was the power of the laws. It was only a beginner true meaning of space, and did not have an offensive form. Although he was the master of the Black region, his body and realm were only stronger than the four-winged man leader. The realm of space and spatial energy attacks were useless against Lin Feng. The black vortex directly absorbed most of it. Lin Feng's injuries were only a drop in the ocean. His eyes lit up. With a thought, Lin Feng caused an even greater amount of spatial energy in the black vortex to erupt like a tide, blasting out with his blade energy. It was like a rebound, but it was a rebound several times stronger. How is this possible? The six-winged man king was shocked. He flapped his wings and retreated. His hands formed into claws to block, but in an instant, a black light enveloped him, and a terrifying demonic power devoured him. Chi. Lin Feng killed him with a single slash. Blood splattered in the air. The six-winged man king died with his eyes wide open. The entire Xiong tribe fell silent. The winged men experts looked at the human figure in the sky in shock, somewhat stunned. Someone as strong as the six-winged man king had been killed with a single slash. What kind of strength was this? Hand over your life, human, you're courting death. Consecutive roars resounded, as if the sky was about to fall. Instantly, two six-winged man kings rushed out, one in front and one behind, straight for Lin Feng. It was 1 against 2. In Lin Feng's hand, blood-colored veins appeared on the soul-severing black hell saber. The entire saber was shrouded in black mist. At this moment, the black hell demon seemed to have awakened. Devour. Soul-severing. Lin Feng's attacks were relentless. Not only was he not at a disadvantage, but his fighting spirit was even stronger. The surrounding winged men experts did not dare to approach. They watched the battle in shock, their eyes wide. Soon, one of the two six-winged man-kings was dead and the other was severely injured. Lin Feng was unscathed. Too powerful! How can a human be so powerful? The Xiong tribe's winged men were completely stunned. They had always treated humans as prey. They had never imagined that humans could be so powerful. Chapter 1478. Xiong tribe, under a huge tree. Dozens of men and women were tied up tightly. They were the Chan He demon tribe. At this moment, they had also noticed the abnormality. The tallest and most majestic man, who looked like a wild bull, said, "Princess, we are saved." Another ugly man said, "The Xiong tribe and the humans are fighting." The one who was addressed as princess was the ghost of the empty valley. She was a young girl with snow-white skin that looked like it was carved from jade. Her elf-like ears were slender and soft, and her eyes were sparkling. She nodded her head gently. She had also sensed it. However, she could only sense one human warrior. Furthermore, it was a chaotic whole undying. One person. A man with green eyes and a long tail said in shock. "It seems to be Qi." The bull-like man was also stunned. "We rejoiced for nothing." The ugly man shook his head and sighed. "It should be a human who accidentally barged into the Xiong tribe. He is currently surrounded by the Xiong tribe warriors and is fighting like a cornered beast." The snow-white girl said softly, "Don't think about it. No one will come to save us if we are captured here." Her beautiful eyes flashed with helplessness and sadness. She had a high status in the Chan River demon race, but so what? If they were captured and fell into the hands of the winged men, only death would await them. No one had ever heard of a Chan River demon race clansman being captured by the winged men and returning alive. The winged men were bloodthirsty and naturally did not have any kindness to speak of. "Princess, don't give up hope." "Yes, Princess, there is still us. As long as there is a chance, we will protect you even if we have to sacrifice our lives. The humans have a saying, heaven will always leave a way out." The Chan River demon race clansman consoled her. The snow-white girl revealed a faint smile and nodded lightly. However, her eyes were still filled with a deathly stillness and confusion. Survive? Was that possible? On the other side, Lin Feng and the Xiong tribe were engaged in a fierce battle. Carefree, Lin Feng roared and instantly killed dozens of four-winged men. Under the black hell soul's severing blade, hundreds more died. The two-winged men did not dare to approach Lin Feng. The four-winged men's wolf pack tactics were similarly ineffective. When the difference in strength was too great, numbers were useless. Most importantly, Lin Feng's resistance to spatial energy was quite strong. Before the black vortex had advanced, it could already absorb a lot. Now that it had advanced, the four-winged man's spatial energy attacks were like scratching an itch to Lin Feng. They were not enough. The only real threat was the six-winged human king. "He's here." Lin Feng's eyes lit up. After killing another six-winged human king, the strongest warrior of the Xiong tribe appeared. 3 pairs of pure white fleshy wings symbolized his noble bloodline. The newcomer was the six-winged human king that the winged tribe called Xiongdi. Rumble, 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 rumble. Space trembled violently as strands of spatial threads appeared around Lin Feng. The arrival of the six-winged human king, Xiongdi, directly raised the level of the battle to a whole new level. Although they were both elementary black domain masters, the difference between their bloodlines was just like their strength. The six-winged human king, Xiongdi, was close to becoming an intermediate black domain master. When he used the same law of space, its power was several times stronger than that of an ordinary black domain master. Moreover, the law of space he comprehended was a control-type true meaning of space, which was beneficial in battle. Xiongdi! 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 The winged tribe experts, as if they had found their savior, shouted hysterically. The atmosphere was so intense that the entire battlefield was heated up. The six-winged human king, Xiongdi, walked over with his head held high, looking incomparably arrogant. He originally had an ordinary bloodline, but after killing again and again, he had advanced to become a six-winged human king. Although he was still an elementary winged human king, his status in the winged tribe was completely different. He was superior to intermediate or even advanced winged human kings with ordinary bloodlines. This was because those who could advance to Black Domain Master were at least of outstanding bloodlines. Nightmare's Skull. Lin Feng directly increased his dark magic cultivation, and the power of the Black Hell Soul Severing Blade increased once again. Looking at the six-winged human king, Xiongdi, who didn't put him in his eyes at all, Lin Feng knew that he was arrogant. Wasn't it easy for a six-winged human king with an outstanding bloodline to deal with a chaos whole immortal like him? The corner of Lin Feng's mouth rose slightly, and he directly swung his blade. What? Xiongdi, who hadn't put Lin Feng in his eyes, was startled. Before he could react, the human's blade appeared in front of him. It was incomparably powerful, and he didn't know where it came from. Great space shift. Lin Feng's saber came crashing down, causing the Xiongdi's eyes to turn red with shock. He gritted his teeth and used his wings to block the attack. With a loud bang, blood and flesh flew everywhere. The Xiongdi screamed shrilly. Just one strike had injured him. Despicable human. Damn it, he actually launched a sneak attack. Kill him. The winged tribe experts were furious. They were proficient in the law of space, so they naturally knew what Lin Feng had done. Despicable? Lin Feng didn't care. He naturally wouldn't waste such a good opportunity in a fair battle. He was currently in enemy territory, and Xiongdi had the advantage. If he didn't seize the opportunity, he would probably be suppressed by the winged tribe's morale. But now, he had completely turned the situation around with a single strike. Lin Feng would not give the Xiongdi any time to catch his breath. His blade blasted out one after another, turning into specks of snowflakes that fell towards the hailstones. This caused the originally injured Xiongdi to roar endlessly as it was continuously beaten up. Not long after, he was seriously injured. It was a pity that his strength wasn't inferior to Lin Feng's, but he couldn't unleash it. Everyone, kill! Kill this human together! A sudden shout came from the winged tribe. Seeing that the situation wasn't changing, the winged tribe experts immediately rushed forward, wanting to rely on their numbers to kill Lin Feng. But at that moment, the heavily injured Xiongdi quietly retreated under cover. He looked at Lin Feng with deep fear. He had never seen such a terrifying human before. He didn't feel anything at all. Just now it was like a nightmare. He couldn't believe that he had been seriously injured. Looking at his tribesmen who were fighting desperately, Xiongdi gritted his teeth and sped away quietly, ignoring his tribesmen. There seemed to be an unfamiliar six-winged human king in front of him. Xiongdi hesitated for a moment and was about to dodge, but the six-winged human king had already attacked him. No! Xiongdi opened his eyes in shock. He was seriously injured and couldn't block it at all. He was directly knocked unconscious. Jiadong's eyes flashed, and he smiled coldly. He had seen Xiongdi's appearance from the side and knew that Xiongdi would definitely flee at the last moment. As expected, he was caught red-handed. Outstanding bloodline? Bah! You're still the same as me. Jiadong curled his lips, but he didn't care at all. So what if he was weak? That was the only way to save his life. As for relying on humans, that was nothing. As the saying went, a wise man submits to circumstances. Chapter 1479. In the face of absolute power, numbers were useless. Other than a few four-winged people, the other two-winged people could not get close to Lin Feng at all. Every time he swung his blade, a large number of winged people would die. Lin Feng's strength terrified the winged people of the Xiong tribe. Boom! 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 Blood rained down from the sky above the Xiong tribe as countless winged people fell and were devoured. His astonishing strength was like that of Shura. Run for your lives! This human is too powerful. Everyone, run! Ah! Wails and howls filled the air. The winged people immediately scattered. Lin Feng, who had been surrounded and massacred, shone like a star. His body was shrouded in a dark haze, but his blood-red eyes were very calm. The dark demon power was very strong, but it also had a huge side effect. It could easily affect one's mind, but Lin Feng was not affected. He would not give chase. After all, the big fish was already in his hands. His gaze fell on the nearby Jiadong, who was carrying a six-winged human king with pure white wings. It was the Xiong. The corner of Lin Feng's mouth rose slightly. He gave Jiadong a thumbs up, indicating that he had done well. 1,000,000 merit points had been obtained. Under the giant tree, the Chan River demons were stunned. What was going on? What had happened? The winged people of the Xiong tribe seemed to have run away? The bull-like man was stunned. Impossible. Oh, I know. They must have gone after that human expert. The long-tailed man said in realization. No. The snow-white girl raised her head. Her bright, pale-colored eyes flickered with crystalline light as she gazed into the distance. That human expert is still in the Hun tribe. He hasn't left. Too shocking. The ugly man was in disbelief. The Chan River demons looked over. The ugly man said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, this human expert must have wiped out the entire Xiong tribe." Everyone was stunned. One person wiped out the entire Xiong tribe? That's impossible. Yeah, didn't they say he was just a chaotic whole immortal? The Xiong tribe has many black region masters, and even a Xiong with an excellent bloodline. It would be difficult to even survive, let alone win. I don't believe it. The Chang River monsters found it hard to believe. The girl, who was as pure and flawless as snow, gazed into the distance with her crystalline eyes. She said softly, "It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. Right now, the Hun tribe is either dead or gone. It's already empty. This might be our opportunity." Although he did not know whether the human was a friend or a foe, it was still better to fall into the hands of a human than to fall into the hands of the Winged Clan. "I hope he'll let us go." The young girl bit her lip, and for the first time, a glimmer of hope appeared in her eyes. However, he also felt a little uneasy because of her identity. Humans were smarter than winged people. If this human knew her identity, he would definitely not let her go. The battle had already ended. Lin Feng, who was covered in blood, was like a peerless demon. The dense smell of blood on his body was extremely pungent, and the entire Hun tribe was filled with wails and cries. It was a tragic sight. Lin Feng would naturally not show mercy, otherwise the one who would die would be him. "Master, what should we do with this?" Jia Dong lifted the pale-faced Xiong Yu and said, "Why don't we enslave him as well? At least I'll have a companion. This guy is very despicable and cowardly. It won't be a problem." Lin Feng laughed involuntarily and shook his head. "It's just a six-winged human king. One more won't make a difference. Kill him and take his winged heart. It can be exchanged for 1,000,000 merit points." Compared to a six-winged human king with an excellent bloodline, 1,000,000 merit points were more important to him. With this 1,000,000 merit points, he could enter the Yurin secret realm. Otherwise, it would take a lot of effort to kill ordinary winged people. Winged people with ordinary bloodlines were worthless. A 2-winged person would have 1 winged heart, a 4-winged person would have 10, and even a 6-winged person would only have 1,000. How many winged hearts would he have to kill to obtain 1,000,000? It was far from what he was doing now, where he had already met the merit points requirement. "No, don't kill me." Xiong Yu, who had fainted, immediately opened his eyes and shouted in shock, "I surrender, my lord. I sincerely want to follow you. My lord, please take me in." Lin Feng and Jia Dong looked at each other, speechless. They thought Jia Dong was already cowardly enough, but there was always someone better. A good bloodline didn't mean a strong will, and it didn't mean that he wasn't afraid of death. This Xiong Yu was clearly an anomaly. "Give me a reason," Lin Feng said. From his point of view, he would naturally prioritize his own interests. "This? Xiong Yu was stunned. He had to find a reason. What reason? He looked at Lin Feng with fear and trepidation. Xiong Yu knew that his life and death were now in the hands of this human youth. This, my lord, if you take me in, I'm willing to do anything. Murder, arson, rape, plunder. There's nothing I can't do. Xiong Yu nodded repeatedly. My lord, if you don't want to do it, leave it to me. I'll do it until you're satisfied. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Xiong Yu was even weirder than Jia Dong. Not only was he afraid of death, but he was also very despicable. He had probably done many of the things he mentioned just now. A servant I've taken in will naturally be loyal to me. The things you mentioned. Lin Feng pointed at Jia Dong. He can do them too. Jia Dong couldn't help but raise his head proudly. He was deeply honored. Since his master thought so highly of him, he would be willing to do anything to fulfill his duty. It was just murder, arson, rape, and plunder. That was nothing. Xiong Yu was on the verge of tears. He grinned bitterly and said, There's also the Xiong tribe's treasures. My lord, I'll take you to find them. I know where they are. I'll find them myself. Lin Feng's dark demonic aura had already condensed in his hand. His eyes flashed with killing intent. He wasn't joking with Xiong Yu. Although the Xiong tribe was large, how hard could it be to find treasures? There's more, there's more. Xiong Yu was so anxious that his eyes turned round and round. His face was red with anxiety. He suddenly opened his eyes wide. That's right, my lord. We just caught a few dozen Yao from the Chan River. I heard that their leader is a princess. She has a great background and is very beautiful. Originally, we planned to offer her to Lord Huzhua. Now, my lord, you can enjoy her to your heart's content. Ah! Xiong Yu howled miserably. Jia Dong grabbed him by the neck and said viciously, Enjoy what? Why do I need you to teach me what to do? She's right here. Master can do it himself. Lin Feng was speechless. I'll give you 10 more seconds, Lin Feng said slowly. The soul-severing blade of hell had already appeared, and its killing intent was spreading like vines. Xiong Yu's face was sullen. He was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. He tried to think of a solution. Seeing Lin Feng's blade approaching, Xiong Yu suddenly trembled and said, I got it. I got it, my lord. Chapter 1480. Lin Feng looked at Xiong Li indifferently. The latter smiled and said, My lord, don't you want to earn merits? I can help you earn 1 million, no, 2 million merits. Lin Feng asked curiously, how? When Xiong Di heard that he was on the right track, his eyes immediately lit up and he said, The Hu tribe also has 6-winged human kings with excellent bloodlines, and there are quite a few of them. My bloodline had advanced previously, so I was summoned by Lord Hu Zhuo and was greatly rewarded. I am very familiar with the other 6-winged human kings of the Hu tribe. Their strength is about the same as mine. I just need to use a little trick to lure them out. With my lord's divine might, you will definitely be able to capture them all. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Although this idea was despicable, it was still a good idea. Taking in Xiong Li and giving up 1 million merits for 2 million merits was not a loss at all. His only concern was that he would offend the Hu tribe, but it did not matter. Humans and winged men were already at odds. So what if he offended them? The northern continent was so big that large tribes could be found everywhere. Why would he be afraid of a medium-sized tribe? In the future, when he was strong enough, he would not only deal with small tribes, but also medium-sized tribes. Master, take in this guy, Jia Dong said. This guy is quite despicable and shameless. He will definitely be able to help Master. In Jia Dong's opinion, being despicable and shameless was a rather powerful ability. Yes, yes. Master, take me in. Xiong Li's eyes were shining. Hearing that there was a chance to live, Xiong Li's spirits were lifted. Lin Feng looked at Xiong Li and asked, How confident are you? 90%. Xiong Li said confidently. I am very familiar with Hu Yi, and I am also on good terms with Hu Zhen. I don't dare to say anything else, but I can at least make one of them. Okay, it's decided then. Lin Feng nodded. As long as he could catch one, he would not lose out. Whoosh, a bright light flashed. After Gadon, Lin Feng accepted the second slave. Compared to Jia Dong, the Xiong bloodline was stronger. He was more despicable and shameless than Jia Dong. He dared to do anything and was much smarter. Jia Dong was more timid and not as scheming as the Xiong. Such a servant was useful. Greetings, master. Xiongdi grinned and bowed. No matter what, he would be able to preserve his life. This was more important than anything else. As for who he would side with, he didn't have too many thoughts or concerns. The winged men themselves were divided into different classes. Although the Xionghe, who came from a small tribe, had improved their bloodline, their dignity had not. For the Huns, as long as they could survive, that was enough. Master, why don't we go and take a look at the princess of the Chang River demon race first? Master has taken down the Xiong tribe, so it is only right that we celebrate. Xiongli winked and said flatteringly. Lin Feng nodded and followed Xiongdi. Previously, he had seen the beautiful girl in Gadon's line of sight. He did not expect her to be a princess. However, he still didn't know what status the princess had in the Chan River demon race. He asked Xiongdi and Gadon, but they didn't know either. One look and he would know. Lin Feng walked towards the towering tree in the middle of the Xiong tribe. He finally saw the elegant girl. She was like an orchid in an empty valley. Her skin was so tender that it seemed like water could drip from it. Her bright eyes seemed to be able to speak. She was the princess. The girl and the Chan River demon race were also very surprised. They didn't know what had happened when they saw the human expert arrive with 2 six-winged men behind him. How did you capture her? Lin Feng looked at Xiongdi. Xiongdi laughed and said, They came ashore themselves. Who can they blame? Hearing this, the snow-white girl snorted. Despicable and shameless winged man, you pretended to be my Chan Hexiao clansmen and lured us in. You call yourselves the rulers of the continent, but you actually did such a despicable thing. Xiongdi pointed at his head and said casually, This is called using one's brain. Little girl, don't be so naive. The girl's face turned cold. She snorted and didn't say anything else. Lin Feng more or less understood the situation. Xiongdi had a lot of bad ideas. This girl was obviously inexperienced. Naturally, she wasn't a match for an old fox like him. It was normal for her to be captured. Master, do you want to have a taste of this princess? Xiongdi raised his eyebrows and laughed. With my experience, I can tell that she is the original. The girl's face turned red. She was so angry that tears almost fell. Why don't you just kill me? Despicable winged men. How dare you touch our princess? I, old Nyo, will not let you go even if I become a ghost. Despicable winged men, do you know who our princess is? How dare you? If you dare to humiliate our princess, our lord will flatten your Xiong tribe and kill all 9 generations of your family. And you, human, how dare you collude with the winged men? Despicable. The insults continued, and the girl trembled with anger. Xiongdi didn't care at all. He looked at Lin Feng with a smile. How is it, master? Look at how nervous they are. This princess's identity is not simple. As soon as he said that, the girl's face turned as white as a sheet. She wasn't stupid. She had just been humiliated and had forgotten. Now that she thought about it, it was this despicable winged men who had led them to talk. Lin Feng took a long look at Xiongdi. This ruffian 6-winged human king was indeed very smart. Even if he couldn't capture other 6-winged man kings with excellent bloodlines, the 1 million merit points he had spent should be worth it. Strength was easy to obtain, but temperament and character were often hard to find. If a bad character could be used appropriately, it might not be a bad thing. Thud. Lin Feng walked toward the girl. His gaze swept across her, pausing on her beautiful face for a while as he carefully sized her up. This was the first time he had met the Chan River demon race. After transforming, they looked no different from humans. They were somewhat different from the Milky Way's demon race. "Kill me!" The girl stared at Lin Feng and bit her cherry lips. She didn't have much hope in the first place. If she was humiliated, she might as well seek death. She already knew why this human youth was still alive. It wasn't because he was strong, but because he was in cahoots with the winged men of the Xiong tribe. Colluding with each other. You should get along with the kind of person you are. The girl closed her eyes and stubbornly bit her cherry lips, not letting her tears fall. She didn't want to be looked down upon. She was a princess. She had her pride. She couldn't be tarnished. She raised her head proudly, symbolizing the girl's dignity. When the rest of the Chan River demon race saw the princess like this, they also raised their heads and closed their eyes. They would rather die than submit. A calm and indifferent voice abruptly sounded out, "Let them go." Chapter 1481. Lin Feng's words stunned not only the demons of Chan River and the Snow White Girl, but also Jia Dong and Xiong Di. They thought they had heard wrong. "Master, let them go?" Xiong Di opened his mouth in shock. "Master?" The demons of Chan River looked at Lin Feng with widened eyes, especially the Snow White Girl. She looked at Lin Feng with her bright, crystal-like eyes. She found it hard to believe that a human could make the proud wings call him master. How shocking! Moreover, he was a six-winged human king with an outstanding bloodline. "If I don't let them go, should I kill them?" Lin Feng smiled and said. Xiong Di said, "It is good that master is kind, but the demons of Chan River are enemies with humans. As the saying goes, being kind to your enemies is being cruel to yourself. Even if master is not interested in women, you can sell the princess of Chan River for a large sum of money." The Snow White Girl's face flushed red. She was embarrassed and angry. She was a princess, but she was being treated like a commodity. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. What did he mean he was not interested in women? This Xiong Di was despicable, but he treated Jiang Yi as a peer. Jiang Yi smiled and said, "A gentleman loves money and obtains it in a proper way. I may not be a gentleman, but at least I will not take advantage of others." Xiong Di wanted to persuade Jiang Yi again, but when he met Lin Feng's eyes, he swallowed his words and went to undo the spatial shackles while muttering. Soon, the demons of Chan River regained their freedom. The Snow White Girl bit her cherry lips so hard that blood seeped out. She stared at Xiong Di fiercely. The latter did not mind at all. He crossed his arms and held his head high. His expression said, "Bite me if you can." With his strength, he was not afraid of the demons of Chan River. Not to mention the fact that his master was by his side, he alone could easily capture the group of Chan Hiyao clan members. After leaving Chan River, the demons of Chan River were much weaker. "That day we were enemies. It is normal for him to capture you. You can only blame yourself for falling for it too easily," Lin Feng said to the Snow White Girl. He did not care that the demons of Chan River were looking at him as if they wanted to eat him alive. Hearing that he had the support of his master, Xiong Li straightened his back even more and had a smug look on his face. Lin Feng was also amused when he saw this and said, "Once bitten, twice shy. Next time, you might not be so lucky. Let's stay in the Pyrolite River until we're strong enough." As he spoke, Lin Feng smiled and nodded at the Snow White Girl. "See you later." After saying that, he turned around and left. Xiong Li and Jia Dong, the two six-winged people, followed. Although there were only 3 of them, their aura was far stronger than the dozens of Chang He demon tribe members. The Snow White Girl's beautiful face alternated between green and white. Although she hated Xiongdi for capturing her, she was extremely grateful to Lin Feng for saving her. As Hunli had said, he could sell her for a good price. "Hey!" The Snow White Girl gritted her teeth and shouted. Lin Feng snorted softly and turned his head, revealing a curious expression. You let me go just like that. Don't you regret it? The Snow-White girl bit her lips and shouted. Regret what? Lin Feng was also amused. The Snow-White girl's smooth face froze slightly, and she said, I'm worth a lot of money. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily and said, Don't tell me you want me to sell you? No, no. The Snow-White girl shook her head in panic and muttered, I just don't understand. Why are you doing this? You and I have never met before. You can. Lin Feng smiled and waved his hand. Go back. It was rare to see such an innocent girl. She was indeed a princess who lived like a prince. However, even if she was worth a lot of money, Lin Feng wouldn't care. A true expert should know right from wrong and have his own principles. Some things could be done. Some things couldn't be done no matter what. I'm Tang Xian. What about you? The Snow-White girl, Tang Xian shouted from behind. Lin Feng. Lin Feng's voice reverberated in the air, but he was already far away. The Snow-White girl, Tang Xian softly muttered this name and looked at the back of the figure that was far away. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a bright and charming luster. She pouted her pink lips. Father is lying. Who said that humans are cunning, greedy, and selfish? Lin Feng, I will remember you. One day I will repay you. I don't want to owe you anything. After releasing the Chan River demon race, Tang Xian and the others, Lin Feng followed Xiong Li into the depths of the Xiong tribe. The treasures and belongings that the Xiong tribe had accumulated over several epochs were hidden there. The Xiong tribe was only a small tribe. Its history was very short, less than 4 epochs. However, even though it was small, it was still a tribe. Moreover, it was a tribe of the winged men. Even in the North Continent, the winged men still had the absolute advantage and were extremely powerful. Apart from Yurin City, how many human clans dared to build their own clans out there? This is where the winged hearts are stored. We obtain them from killing humans. Xiongli brought Lin Feng into the treasury and introduced them one by one. These despicable humans actually use our winged hearts as currency. Suddenly, Xiongli seemed to have thought of something. He hurriedly covered his mouth and secretly glanced at Lin Feng. When he saw that there was no change in Lin Feng's expression, he was relieved. He put on a smiling face again. Master, our tribe does not have many winged hearts. Most of them have been exchanged with the Hu tribe. There are only a few 100,000 winged hearts here. A few 100,000 winged hearts was not a lot? Lin Feng smiled. It was true. From his perspective, it was a lot. However, as a tribe, and a winged men tribe at that, a few 100,000 winged hearts was indeed ordinary. The Hu tribe that Xiongli mentioned was a medium-sized tribe nearby. From his tone, the Hu tribe was relatively wealthy. At the same time, it was also very powerful. After putting away the winged hearts, Lin Feng naturally did not find it too much. With a few 100,000 winged hearts in his bag, he instantly became much richer. He made up for half of the cost of buying the crystal house. He still had many chaotic cave profound treasures, but he was not in a hurry to sell them. It was easy to sell them, but to buy them back would be difficult. This is the treasure room. They were all obtained from human warriors. Master, do you think they are suitable for you? Xiong Li introduced. Lin Feng nodded lightly. Walking into the treasure room, he found that the treasures here were indeed a lot shabbier compared to his own. Looking around, there were only 70 to 80 treasures in this huge treasure room. They were sold at an average of 1,000 wing hearts, and the ceiling was 100,000 wing hearts. It was better than nothing. After putting away the treasures, Lin Feng immediately took away many heaven and earth fruit. They were rather useful to him. Having just become a chaotic cave undying, there was a lot of room for improvement in all aspects of his body. It was very difficult to rely on himself to find heaven and earth fruit. It was also very expensive to buy them in Yurin City. After all, it was something that all human experts needed. Walking further in. Up ahead is the deepest part of our Xiong tribe's treasure room. Master. Xiongli blinked his eyes and chuckled. There is a true treasure hidden there. It is the Xiong tribe's clan protection treasure. Chapter 1482. Clan Heirloom? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He was also very curious about the origins of the Xiong tribe's so-called clan heirloom. Seeing Xiong Li's longing expression, it was clearly very precious. How much is it worth? Lin Feng asked. Priceless. Xiong Li did not hesitate. Lin Feng's heart could not help but thump. Xiong Li was naturally telling the truth. After all, he was now his servant and could not hide anything from him. When he said that it was priceless, it was not necessarily priceless. It was just that it could not be measured by price. However, it was enough to prove the value of this clan's treasure. Beyond the level of a chaos whole treasure? Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he was moved. Xiong Li chuckled. You can say that, master. He opened the last door and entered. There was a strong spatial restriction in front of him that made it difficult to approach. It was abnormally suffocating. The entire secret room seemed to be locked by an invisible wind, making it difficult to approach. Spatial laws. Lin Feng stared at the center of the secret chamber. There was a cross-shaped treasure that shone with a silvery light, resembling a long cross. The four corners were sharp, and each edge was sharp enough to slice through iron like mud, as thin as the wings of a cicada. It was like a life form that floated in the air. Spatial mystic treasure. 10 directions returned to 0. Xiong Li looked at the long silver cross with a longing expression. His breathing was slightly hurried. Only the clan leader has the right to use it. It is not much worse than the clan heirloom of a mid-sized tribe. Spatial mystic treasure. Although it was also a mystic treasure, spatial mystic treasures were indeed superior to other chaos whole treasures. There was no other reason. With spatial laws, it was above other laws in the pyramid. Lin Feng's eyes burned. There was no need to say more about the power of spatial mystic treasures. The key was, could he fuse with it? The strong spatial restriction was repelling him, not allowing him to enter. It has quite a personality. Lin Feng laughed. To him, who controlled spatial energy, it was not much of an obstacle. After breaking through the spatial restriction, the space instantly relaxed. Lin Feng walked forward step by step, approaching the spatial mystic treasure. 10 directions returned to 0. The mystic treasure seemed to have a mind of its own. It fiercely resisted, but the effect was minimal. Hua, the evolved black vortex, quickly absorbed the spatial energy of the cross returns to 0. The latter's silver light flickered and flickered at an extremely fast rate. Lin Feng directly reached out and grabbed the cross returns to 0, ignoring its violent rejection. Whoosh! Cross returns to 0 shook violently, even cutting Lin Feng's palm. Blood dripped down and landed on the cross. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly as his consciousness entered the mystic artifact and forcefully fused with it. Time passed very slowly. To Lin Feng, however, his heart was filled with excitement and anticipation. His soul was strong enough, and after being nurtured by the 10,000 origin mustard stone, it would continue to grow, and he would be able to forcefully fuse with this treasure. It wasn't difficult. It'll take at most 15 days. Lin Feng was full of confidence. A colorful forest. Whoosh, whoosh, pop. The entire forest was in chaos. The ferocious beasts were like birds startled by the twang of a bow as they fled one after another. This was because in the depths of the colorful forest, there were experts who were thousands of times stronger than them surging out in large numbers. Men and women, old and young, they were all members of the Xiong tribe. However, none of the winged men was a six-winged man king, as all of them had been killed by Lin Feng in the previous battle. Each six-winged man was worth 1,000 merit points, plus double the winged heart, so Lin Feng naturally wouldn't let them go. As for the two-winged men and four-winged men, their value wasn't high. Despicable human! Let's go to the Hu tribe to get reinforcements and kill this human. But will Lord Huzhua help us? The members of the Xiong tribe had ugly expressions. The death of all the six-winged men was a considerable blow to the tribe. Even for a medium-sized tribe, it wasn't easy to produce a six-winged man. No matter what, there's no harm in trying. Yes, perhaps Lord Huzhuo will take us in. God-damn human, we must avenge him. Soon, all the winged men who had escaped were gathered and led by the four-winged man, Xiong Go, to the Hu tribe. The members of the Xiong tribe still had fear in their eyes, and they were shocked at the thought of the human strength. The Qilin team, a team of 9 people, was currently fighting with a group of 4 winged men. Although there were many winged men, the members of the Qilin squad were all experts who could fight against 100 winged men each. Not only did they not fall into a disadvantageous position, they even slaughtered the 4 winged men under the lead of Captain Yu Ju. What a strange winged men team. There are so many 4-winged men, but there isn't a single 6-winged man, the son of the heavenly dragon muttered. Yes, it's a little strange. The Golden Lion Sage King nodded. As he fought and killed, he observed the winged men team. Seeing that they were all dressed similarly, he instantly understood. These should be winged men from the same tribe who are out on a mission, the Golden Lion Sage King said. Not necessarily, Leader Yu Ju suddenly said. Didn't you notice that these winged men's expressions are very strange? It's as if they've seen a devil, and they're in a hurry to go somewhere. Strange appearance? Everyone stared at the winged men in front of them. If the leader hadn't said anything, they wouldn't have noticed, but now that he said it, it was true. Smack! Leader Yu Ju grabbed a 4-winged man by the neck and lifted him up. His gaze was as sharp as a sword as he growled, "Which tribe are you from, and what are you going to do?" The 4-winged man's leader glared at Yu Ju but did not reply. Kill. Yu Ju was too lazy to waste his breath. He snapped the 4-winged man's neck with a snap before grabbing another 4-winged man. However, the outcome did not change. These winged men would rather die than submit, and they did not compromise at all. Again, Yu Ju grabbed one and killed another. He only stopped when he caught one who was willing to answer his questions. Not all winged men were unswervingly loyal. There were some who were like the Xiong men who were afraid of death and told him everything they knew. Yu Ju was shocked when he heard the news. A human chaotic whole immortal annihilated the Xiong tribe? Yu Ju took a deep breath, finding it hard to believe. However, the truth was right in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. He must be a warrior who awakened his bloodline, Yu Ju said to himself. Yu Ju thought to himself, it's been more than 10 days since the Xiong tribe was annihilated. That human powerhouse might have already left, and I won't have the chance to meet him. However, he might not be able to collect everything from such a large tribe. If there's anything missing, we have the Xiong tribe members to capture them. Perhaps we can find some hidden treasures. If that human hasn't left yet, it'll be worth the trip if I can get to know such a human powerhouse. Yu Ju made up his mind. After capturing the cowardly winged man, he led the team to the Xiong tribe to pick up the scrap. The morale of the team was high, including the Golden Lion Sage King and the son of the Heavenly Dragon. Chapter 1483. Spatial Treasure Cross returns to 0. It could be activated by spatial energy and was a rare offensive spatial treasure. It was no wonder the Xiong tribe held it in high esteem, boasting that it wasn't inferior to the treasures of other mid-sized tribes. One had to know that all offensive true meanings of the spatial laws were at least mid-rank. Most Black Region masters weren't able to grasp offensive true meanings of space. But with this treasure, they could use them. Although its power can't compare to fully comprehending the true meaning of space, it's still powerful enough. Lin Feng sighed. He was in a good mood after merging with the spatial treasure. Cross returns to 0. Other human experts had to wait until they reached the Black Region master level before they could use it, but he could use it now. The Bloodline Black Vortex stored a large amount of spatial energy. Moreover, the Black Vortex had just evolved, so its spatial energy was even more powerful. My control is still lacking. Lin Feng knew that he wasn't strong enough. If it was a winged race Black Region Master who was compatible with space, he could easily use it, but he couldn't. He needed to practice and use it more often. Even so, the power of cross returns to 0 was enough to satisfy him. My current strength is comparable to a mid-ranked Black Region Master. Lin Feng smiled. Adding the spatial treasure, cross returns to 0, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. At this moment, a group of uninvited guests had arrived outside the Xiong tribe. Led by the four-winged person, the Qilin squad led by Yu Ju stepped into the forest. The mid-ranked Black Region Master Yu Ju from the Yu clan was the captain of the Qilin squad. Yu Ju's reputation was quite big. Many teams that carried out merit missions were led by beginner Black Region Masters. If they encountered the slightly stronger six-winged Winged King, they would be in danger. But Yu Ju was different. He was a mid-ranked Black Region Master and was much stronger. For the Xiong tribe, a beginner Black Region Master entering was simply courting death. But if a mid-ranked Black Region Master entered, just like Lin Feng, they would be able to sweep through and flatten the entire tribe. Yu Ju's aura spread out, but he didn't sense any other life auras. Yu Ju's expression was serious as he said to the people behind him, "Everyone, spread out and search. See if there's anything we missed. Whoever finds the treasure, ask for help. Understand?" "Yes, Captain." Everyone responded and immediately got to work. Although the Golden Lion Holy King and the son of the Heavenly Dragon had a good relationship, they were now separated. No matter how good their relationship was, it was only on the surface. Everyone knew that they were just sitting in the same boat. Everyone quickly began their search. Yu Ju did not panic. He scanned the entire tribe, and his expression became even more solemn. Although it's a small tribe, it's still one of the best. There are quite a few six-winged human kings in the Xiong tribe. A human undying chaos whole can actually destroy an entire tribe? Shaking his head, Yu Ju found it hard to believe. He had seen many human geniuses, and he himself was a member of the Yu clan. However, no matter how strong the descendants of the Yu clan were, it was impossible for them to do such a terrifying thing when the Chaos Whole was immortal. The captured winged man leader naturally wouldn't lie. To be able to slaughter the entire Xiong tribe, one had to be at the very least a beginner Black Domain Master. "I hope we can meet." Yu Ju was very interested and looked around. He knew that even if he missed something, it was impossible for it to exist outside. So from the beginning, he focused his attention on other places, such as underground, forest, valley, and so on. That was where the winged men often collected treasures. As an intermediate Black Domain Master, Yu Ju was not only strong, but also very experienced. "There seems to be something strange over there." Yu Ju's gaze fell forward as he slowly walked toward Lin Feng's location. Naturally, the underground treasure vault was sealed. This was a forbidden area of the Xiong tribe. Apart from Xiong Li and a few six-winged human kings, the rest of the winged men didn't even know where it was. Therefore, the four-winged man who led the Qilin team in had no idea. The treasury and the outside world were two completely separate places, separated by space. Lin Feng naturally couldn't sense the outside world, and similarly, the outside world couldn't sense the inside. As usual, Lin Feng continued to cultivate and comprehend the spatial treasure, cross-reset, while Xiong Li and Jia Dong stood guard beside him. As for the members of the Chang River Yao clan, they had long since left. Suddenly, Lin Feng, who was in the middle of cultivation, sensed something and couldn't help but open his eyes. The spatial treasure, cross-reset, in his hand flashed with a bright light. The mark of a cross seemed to be branded in the void. In Lin Feng's hand it seemed to exist, but also seemed to be invisible. It was very strange. The first level, the illusory cross. The first level of cross reset was relatively easy. This was the basic ability of the treasure itself. As long as it was compatible, regardless of whether it was perfectly compatible or not, it could be mastered. It was the same as other Chaos Hole treasures. As for the second and third levels, each level was more difficult than the last. Space seems to be fluctuating. Although separated by the treasury, Lin Feng could vaguely sense a little. His ability to sense space was naturally not as good as Xiong Li's, but with the special ability of the Heaven Ho cultivation and the advanced Black Vortex bloodline, he was now even stronger than Xiong Li and Jia Dong. Holding the cross reset, Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He slowly walked out of the treasury with a serious expression. Jia Dong and Xiong Li were slightly stunned, but they didn't ask any questions. They followed closely behind Lin Feng. The experts of the Qilin team had spread out to search. Sage King Golden Lion was old and experienced. Although he was searching everywhere like the other Chaos Hole immortals, his gaze never left Yu Ju. He clearly knew that in terms of experience and ability, no one here could compare to intermediate Black Region Master Yu Ju. If the Xiong tribe had really missed a treasure, then Yu Ju would most likely be the one who found it. That area? Sage King Golden Lion's heart trembled. Seeing Yu Ju searching in the same area, he slowly moved closer. When he confirmed his target, Sage King Golden Lion carefully searched. Just as Captain Yu Ju had said, everyone relied on their strength and luck. After searching over and over again, Sage King Golden Lion suddenly felt that he had stepped on something. His eyes lit up. It was an imperceptible depression. No one has been here before. This depression, could it have been left behind? Sage King Golden Lion's heart skipped a beat. He searched everywhere for a mechanism, but to no avail. The treasury of the Xiong tribe naturally wouldn't be discovered so easily. However, Sage King Golden Lion was quite smart. Seeing Yu Ju heading in this direction, he was even more certain. Instantly, he clenched his hands into fists and punched the ground. Pung! Holy Monarch Golden Lion Dove into the ground. Yu Ju's eyes lit up when he heard Holy Monarch Golden Lion. Holy Monarch Golden Lion Dove into the ground with incredible speed. Chapter 1484. It's here. There's a way here. Tens of thousands of meters underground, Sacred King Golden Lion stumbled upon the path to the treasury. He was so happy that his face turned red. He was worried that someone else would get there first. Shua, another figure, came down from behind Sacred King Golden Lion. It was Yu Ju, the mid-level master of Black Region. His eyes were bright like a cheetah's. Yu Ju looked around curiously and cautiously. He looked at Sacred King Golden Lion's figure, but he was not in a hurry. Whether it was a blessing or a curse was still unknown. It was better to have someone take the lead. Soon, Sacred King Golden Lion found the right place. Xiong Clan's treasury. 4 golden words appeared above the treasury, and a spatial seal was erected outside the treasury, isolating it from the outside world. The Golden Lion Holy King used brute force to break through the treasury, causing a loud rumbling sound. Break! The door of the treasury shattered. Just as Sacred King Golden Lion was overjoyed and excited, his eyes widened. A black saber appeared in front of him. As the door of the treasury shattered, the saber landed on his chest. Bang! Although it was only the back of the blade, the impact was so strong that it shattered Holy King Golden Lion's ribs. Rubble and debris fell to the ground, revealing a black figure. That face looked familiar. Lin Feng? Sacred King Golden Lion was shocked. He did not expect the person to attack him after entering the treasury. It was Lin Feng, whom he had been searching for all this time. Strike first and gain the upper hand. Lin Feng had been waiting for Sacred King Golden Lion at the treasury for a long time. However, he did not expect to meet Sacred King Golden Lion. Sacred King Golden Lion was really unlucky. He took a shortcut and played tricks. In the end, he suffered a great loss. If it wasn't for Lin Feng holding back, this strike would probably be sufficient to take his life. However, he was not in a good condition either. Golden Lion Holy King had been severely injured by a single attack. What was even more shocking was that his physical body could not heal at all. A terrifying force had sealed his body. Soul-severing saber. Lin Feng was the undying body that countered the Chaos Whole Immortal and the Master of Black Region. Oh! Lin Feng looked at Sacred King Golden Lion and found it funny. He knew that Sacred King Golden Lion had been looking for him, but he did not expect that he would find him in such a way. Lin Feng did not chase after Sacred King Golden Lion. He glanced at him before looking into the distance. There was a terrifying existence. It seems you're the Chaos Whole Immortal who slaughtered the entire Xiong tribe, Yu Ju said calmly with his hands behind his back as he flashed past. So what if I am? Lin Feng said. His instincts told him that this human was not to be trifled with. Yu Ju's eyes narrowed as he caught a glimpse of Jiadong and Xiongnu behind Lin Feng. He was shocked to see the white fleshy wings on Xiongnu's back. His eyes widened instantly. Excellent bloodline, six-winged human king? As if sensing Yu Ju's greedy gaze, Xiongnu subconsciously moved his feet. Yu Ju smirked. Whether you are or not, you injured my Qilin team for no reason and colluded with the Wing tribe. How do you explain that? Does it make a difference whether I explain it or not? Lin Feng looked at Yu Ju and smiled sarcastically. He would be stupid if he could not see it now. Yu Ju was obviously going to make a fuss. Although the 2 points he mentioned were just empty words, they were enough to be evidence. From what he said, he clearly knew that Ai Hui had slaughtered the Xiong tribe. The Xiong tribe's treasures were in Ai Hui's hands. Coupled with the Xiong tribe, which was worth 1,000,000 merit points, it was enough to attract other people's greed. Most importantly, Ai Hui was alone. Moreover, he was only an immortal. In the North Continent, strength was the foundation of everything. Without strength, one would be at the mercy of others. For money and treasures, many experts would tear off their masks and moral shackles. The Master of Black Region was one such example. If you have a clear conscience, why don't you follow me back to Yurin City? We will judge whether you are right or wrong, Yu Ju said. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Whether I have a clear conscience or not is none of your business. Yurin City doesn't need to decide whether I am right or wrong. You don't have the right. Ai Hui's voice rang out. Clang. Lin Feng's bloodline protruded from the black hell saber in his hand, and traces of dark red appeared along with the black haze. Lin Feng's fighting spirit suddenly soared. This opponent in front of him was obviously not an ordinary person. It seems that you insist on making a mistake. Yu Ju's eyes burned. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Hearing this, Holy King Golden Lion's pale face showed a hint of excitement. Captain Yu Ju was going to make a move? With his strength as an intermediate master of Black Region, it would be easy for him to kill or capture Lin Feng. Gritting his teeth, Holy King Golden Lion's face was as ferocious as a demon's. He looked at Lin Feng's figure, wishing he could cut him into pieces. He was smug and wanted to find Lin Feng, kill him, and take his treasures. He didn't expect that he would be ambushed and heavily injured. Let's see how you die this time. Holy King Golden Lion laughed wildly in his heart. In his excitement, he coughed a few times, and his expression turned even uglier. How would he die? The answer was like a slap to Holy King Golden Lion's face. Holy King Golden Lion was stunned as he looked at the two people fighting fiercely underground. He knew Captain Yu Ju's strength, but Lin Feng's strength was completely beyond his expectations. How can this be? How did he become so powerful? Holy King Golden Lion looked on in shock, as if he had been hit by a heavy hammer. Lin Feng's saber technique was majestic, and it was even stronger than Captain Yu Ju's. It was shocking. Didn't he just become a Chaos Whole Immortal not long ago? Holy King Golden Lion's heart raced as his chest rose and fell rapidly. He knew Lin Feng's strength, because when he entered the Ting Qi continent, Lin Feng was only a dark matter expert. Even if he had advanced, it was only recently. Impossible, impossible. Holy King Golden Lion muttered in shock. Yu Ju was also shocked. As an intermediate Black Domain Master, he was stronger than Holy King Golden Lion. Although he knew Lin Feng's strength, after all, he was someone who could slaughter the Xiong tribe. Even if he was an immortal chaos whole, his strength was still there. However, he didn't expect this human youth to be so strong. He was an intermediate Black Domain Master of the Yu clan, but not only was he unable to gain the upper hand, but his battle intent was also faintly suppressed. He actually has the strength of an intermediate Black Domain Master. Yu Ju gritted his teeth as the sword in his hand flashed. His ferocity was aroused. Although he regretted not knowing his opponent's strength before directly fighting, he couldn't care less now. In today's situation, only one of them could survive. He had to win. As he shouted, Yu Ju's sword move was filled with intense spatial energy as it blasted towards Lin Feng. However, the spatial energy abruptly weakened like a stone sinking into the sea. While Yu Ju was still in a daze, a silver cross suddenly appeared in front of him with a flash of silver light. The first layer illusory cross. Chapter 1485. Space-type offensive mystic treasure. Yu Ju was horrified. He knew how powerful a space-type offensive mystic treasure was. It was enough for a beginner-level Black Domain Master to easily kill an intermediate-level Black Domain Master. No wonder his spatial energy was like a rock sinking into the ocean. No wonder this chaos whole immortal was able to annihilate the entire Xiong tribe. Ah! Yu Ju howled miserably. He hurriedly withdrew his attack and hurriedly defended himself. However, the silver cross seemed to be transparent as it pierced through his body without harming him at all. Yu Ju was stunned. While he was still in a daze, boom! In front of him, a ferocious blood-red saber erupted like a volcano. The execution of the Heaven's Path saber art had put Yu Ju in a disadvantageous position. He hurriedly raised his sword to block, but the ferocious might of the saber shattered his defenses. Damn it! Yu Ju was furious. He didn't expect Lin Feng's space-type mystic treasure to be a feint. He quickly counterattacked. His eyes widened as he felt the space around him distort. A silver cross appeared in front of him. Every silver blade was like a saber, cutting into his skin. What was real was fake, and what was fake was real. This was the secret of the illusory cross. Whether it attacked or not depended on Lin Feng's control. When the spatial energy exploded, the illusory cross would reveal its power. This was the first time Yu Ju had encountered such a move, so he was at a disadvantage. Although the illusory cross couldn't take his life, it was enough to injure him. Boom, boom, boom. Not only was Lin Feng not suppressed by the Black Domain Master as an immortal chaotic whole, but he was even more ferocious as the battle went on. Yu Ju roared again and again. Holy King Golden Lion, who had been severely injured, was stunned. Was this the Lin Feng he knew? Too powerful! Golden Lion Holy King was stunned. He thought he had improved so much that killing Lin Feng would be as easy as stepping on an ant. However, reality slapped him hard in the face. He had improved. However, Lin Feng's improvement was 10 times, no, 100 times greater than his. Pung! Yu Ju let out a pained groan as he slammed heavily into the stone wall. The dark demonic power corroded his body. With such a heavy injury, the winner was already decided. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He glanced into the distance and saw numerous chaotic whole immortals rushing in. The commotion caused by the battle here was too great, and the aura fluctuations were too intense to be concealed from them. Looking at Yu Ju, who was injured like a wolf, Lin Feng's figure flashed. The black prison soul severing blade instantly descended. Boom! Holy King Golden Lion's eyes widened in shock as he watched Lin Feng kill Yu Ju. Goosebumps rose all over his body. That was an intermediate master of the Black Region, an expert of the Yu human clan. He was killed just like that? Lin Feng's actions were equivalent to declaring war on the Yu-human clan. Not good. Holy King Golden Lion's face turned pale. Lin Feng only had one motive for doing this: cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. If he dared to kill Yu Ju, how could he let him go? Thinking of this, Holy King Golden Lion's hopes were dashed. Even if he was in perfect condition, he was no match for Lin Feng. Especially in this narrow underground space, there was no way he could escape. Teleportation? The entire space had been locked down by Lin Feng. It's over. Holy King Golden Lion regretted his actions. If he had known, he wouldn't have offended Lin Feng. The deaths of his subordinates had nothing to do with him. He was now in the Tingqi continent and had no intention of leaving. Now, he had gone for wool and come home shorn. He was like a fish on the chopping board. The Qilin team's chaotic whole immortals were rushing over. Seeing the intense aura fluctuations and the sounds of battle, they naturally rushed over. With their captain, Yu Ju, there was nothing to fear. However, the moment they entered the underground space, they were shocked to see their captain, the intermediate master of the Black region, Yu Ju, had been killed. He had been killed by a human youth with a single slash. Chaotic whole immortal? Everyone was dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. What kind of chaotic whole immortal had such strength? While they were still in a daze, Lin Feng had already made his move. The moment he killed Yu Ju, he knew that today's battle wouldn't end well. Even if he was willing to let Yu Ju go, the latter's ferocious gaze was enough to prove his intentions. He definitely wouldn't let him go. Instead of letting such a terrifying enemy go, it would be better to just kill him and end it once and for all. As long as he killed everyone who had seen him, no one would know who had killed Yu Ju. The black bloodline vortex released its spatial energy, and the spatial treasure returned to zero and locked down the space. Lin Feng had begun his massacre. Compared to Yu Ju, the Qilin team couldn't even withstand a single blow. They weren't even on the same level as Lin Feng. In the blink of an eye, they were all killed. Only one person was left: Holy King Golden Lion. Gritting his teeth, Holy King Golden Lion looked at Lin Feng with fear in his eyes. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes glowed. He immediately used the soul contract. There was no need to waste words, and there was no need to recruit him. It was all up to Holy King Golden Lion. In essence, the Golden Lion Holy King's hatred for him was far greater than his hatred for him. Holy King Golden Lion was also stunned. He thought that he was going to die. He didn't expect Lin Feng to enslave him. Once he signed the soul contract, he would no longer be himself, nor would he be the Golden Lion Holy Monarch. Instead, he would be Lin Feng's servant, forever branded with Lin Feng's label. In a sense, this was even more terrifying than death. Even his dignity would be lost. But to die like this, Holy King Golden Lion clenched his fist. His face was as red as blood, and he trembled violently. He couldn't accept this. He couldn't accept this. He couldn't accept this. He wanted to live. Even if he had lost his dignity and self, at least he still had his consciousness. At least he could still fight. At least, he was still alive. As long as he was alive, there was a chance. Whoosh! A bright light shone from Holy King Golden Lion's body. Lin Feng looked at Holy King Golden Lion calmly. His heart was calm, but there was another light. It was a soul contract. Master. Holy King Golden Lion knelt on one knee. He looked sincere. Lin Feng nodded. He waved his hand and removed the negative effects of the soul-severing blade. Holy King Golden Lion was already immortal. Without the hindrance, his body quickly recovered. He only used a little energy. At the same time that he accepted Holy King Golden Lion, Lin Feng also obtained all of his memories, including the Milky Way Alliance and the Qilin team. Son of the Heavenly Dragon? Lin Feng frowned slightly. Among the members of the Qilin squad that he had killed, he did not see the figure of the son of the Heavenly Dragon. He spread out his aura, but he could not sense his existence in the Xiong tribe. What a cunning guy! Lin Feng thought to himself. Chapter 1486. Within the brightly colored forest, a figure with a panicked expression was fleeing at top speed. There was panic on his handsome face. The son of the heavenly dragon held a silver bead in his hand. This was a special top-grade chaos hole profound treasure. With this, he could conceal his presence and sense his surroundings. He did not follow the other members of the Qilin squad underground because he was afraid of danger. However, through the chaos hole treasure, he clearly saw that Captain Yuju was killed, and the one who killed him was Lin Feng. The son of the heavenly dragon was so frightened that he immediately fled. He clearly knew what Lin Feng wanted to do. If he did not escape now, he could forget about leaving later. How can he be so powerful? The son of the heavenly dragon trembled in fear. He still remembered the terror of Lin Feng killing Captain Yuju. It was a terror that could not be resisted. There should be no survivors in the Qilin squad now. Sacred King Golden Lion, the son of the heavenly dragon's heart trembled. It would be difficult for him to escape death. His chest rose and fell rapidly. The son of the heavenly dragon's eyes changed, and he already had a plan in his heart. If I can't deal with him with strength, then I'll use my brain. He killed Captain Yuju, so the Yu clan will definitely not let him off. Offending the Yu clan? Let's see how long he can live. Thinking of this, the son of the heavenly dragon could not help but reveal a smug smile. Sometimes, killing people did not have to be done by oneself. Underground, Xiong clan's treasury. The son of the heavenly dragon ran away, Lin Feng said. This child is very cunning and crafty. Master must be careful, Sacred King Golden Lion said solemnly. I know. Lin Feng nodded. From the beginning, he knew that the son of the heavenly dragon was not a good person. Everyone in the Qilin squad had rushed down like a flock of ducks, and only he hadn't fallen for it. This was enough to show how scheming he was. If he hadn't guessed wrongly, he had definitely seen through the treasure, and that was why he had fled. With his style of doing things, he will definitely run to the Yu clan to inform. Sacred King Golden Lion frowned. The Yu clan is extremely powerful in the North Continent. Master killing Yuju is equivalent to becoming an enemy of the Yu clan. It was fine if he killed an ordinary clansman. The one Lin Feng had killed was a mid-level black domain master. How could the Yu clan swallow this anger? In the Northern Continent, reason was the most useless. The Yu clan did not care who was right or wrong. If you killed his clansman, then you were the enemy of the Yu clan. It was that simple. Let him be. Lin Feng didn't care. So what if he offended the Yu human clan? Currently, the Yu human clan could not even protect themselves, so how could they have the extra energy to deal with him? Moreover, the strongest force in the North Continent was not the Yu human clan. The Thunder human clan alone was stronger than the Yu human clan. In the entire North Continent, there was also the Chan River Demon clan and the strongest Winged Men clan. He wasn't even afraid of the Winged Men clan, so why would he be afraid of the Yu Men clan? Offending me might not be a good thing for the Yu human clan. Lin Feng smiled. After this battle, Lin Feng left the Xiong tribe. He couldn't stay here any longer. Moreover, he had already plundered everything he could, so there was no longer any value in the Han tribe. Bringing the Golden Lion Holy King, Jiadong, and Xiong Li with him, Lin Feng headed towards the White Wheel tribe. In the blink of an eye, many years had passed. He didn't know how the White Wheel tribe was doing. Naturally, he couldn't return to Yurin City, and the merit mission had come to an abrupt end. Lin Feng didn't care. Even if he couldn't enter the Yurin secret territory, he now had the ability to suppress space. Moreover, he was still far from becoming a black domain master, so it didn't matter if he couldn't enter the Yurin secret territory. He wanted to become an advanced chaotic whole undying first. In terms of combat power, an advanced chaotic whole undying would be comparable to an ordinary black domain master. He was now comparable to an intermediate black domain master, a second-stage Black Domain Master. If he became an advanced chaotic whole undying, his combat power would at least be unrivaled by an ordinary Black Domain Master. He would be comparable to an advanced Black Domain Master. Fortunately, I didn't kill Xiongli. Lin Feng smiled. He had killed Xiongli and obtained the Wing Heart and merit points, but he couldn't complete the merit mission. That would be a huge loss. The four of them had valiant combat power. Jiadong and Xiongli both had the combat power of an elementary Black Domain Master. Xiongli was close to an intermediate Black Domain Master. The Golden Lion Holy King had just become an ordinary chaotic whole undying. He was a peak chaotic whole undying. His combat power was also comparable to an elementary Black Domain Master. Together with Lin Feng, who had the combat power of an intermediate Black Domain Master, they were invincible. Even a team of 6-winged human kings, numbering in the hundreds, could be easily defeated. Lin Feng didn't go find trouble with the Hu tribe. He couldn't afford to offend a mid-sized tribe, and there was no need to. The White Wheel tribe is up ahead. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. The White Wheel tribe had a special meaning to him. It was the first place he and Anai Xian had landed on after entering the Ting-Chi continent. It was also because of the White Wheel tribe that he had the time to breathe and improve. Now, he had finally gained a foothold on the Ting-Chi continent. Regardless of whether the White Wheel tribe could help him or not, Lin Feng wanted to repay them. A little bit of kindness would be repaid with a gushing spring. Lin Feng didn't get close, but he already saw the winged people's presence. Outside the White Wheel tribe's waterfall, many 4-winged people were patrolling. They seemed to be guarding and patrolling. Lin Feng frowned slightly. His intuition told him that this wasn't normal. Xiongli, Lin Feng called. "Master, what are your orders?" Xiongli asked. "Go ahead and investigate. See what's going on," Lin Feng ordered. He paused for a moment. "Don't alert them." "No problem." Xiongli patted his chest and flew away. White wings symbolized the noble status of the winged people. Even if they weren't a tribe, the winged people still respected bloodlines. The winged people's king, who had an outstanding 6-winged bloodline, had an extremely high status among the winged people. In his senses, Xiongli had an arrogant expression. The 4-winged people outside the waterfall were submissive and respectful. Xiongli was very cunning. Using him to get information was naturally twice the result with half the effort. Soon, Xiongli returned. "They are from the nearby Qi tribe. They aren't inferior to the Hu tribe," Xiongli said. "A 4-winged person discovered something strange here, so he went back to the tribe to report. The Qi tribe's winged people experts will be here soon. They will carefully search this area." Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The White Wheel tribe hid very well. How could they suddenly be discovered? There must be something unknown, but now wasn't the time to investigate. With the White Wheel tribe's strength, they couldn't withstand the attack of a medium-sized tribe. Even he didn't have much confidence. "What kind of winged people will the Qi tribe send?" Lin Feng asked again. Xiongli smiled bitterly. "How would I know? Boss, generally speaking, the winged people experts with intermediate Black Region Masters will lead the team. After all, medium-sized tribes don't have many experts. Now that they are at war with the humans, the tribe's experts should be all out. The experts left in the tribe should be few." Lin Feng nodded. "No matter what, let's enter the White Wheel tribe first," Lin Feng said. Chapter 1487. It was not difficult to enter the White Wheel tribe. Lin Feng knew the correct location of the White Wheel tribe and the way to enter. He only needed to deal with the group of 4-winged people outside. Lin Feng did not need to do it himself. Jiadong and Xiongli finished it cleanly. Lin Feng separated the waterfall. Behind the waterfall, there was a membrane wall flashing like pearls. It was very hidden. Lin Feng gently touched the restriction. With his current strength, it was easy for him to break it, but there was no need. The restriction was connected to the White Wheel tribe. If it sensed him, it would definitely let him in. But this time, Lin Feng waited for a long time, but the restriction did not disappear. He could not help but be slightly surprised. Did something happen? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't care less anymore. His eyes turned cold, and the turbulent space energy instantly broke through the barrier. A huge repulsive force came from the barrier, but it couldn't stop him at all. Crack! The restriction shattered. Lin Feng led Xiong Li and the other two into the cave. He was familiar with the path, and soon found the pearl restriction at the exit. Following the pattern, Lin Feng directly broke it open. Hua, leaping out of the cave, Lin Feng saw a place with open spiritual qi. The familiar White Wheel tribe appeared in front of him. Suddenly, his heart trembled. A strong aura with a fierce murderous aura hit him in the face. Qi, qi, qi. Sabers, swords, spears, axes, countless experts of the White Wheel tribe attacked. The moment Lin Feng broke the restriction, the attacks had already arrived. Lin Feng's eyes were burning, but he did not panic. Spatial energy surged out in an instant. Pung, pung, pung. The space shook violently. The space energy from the bloodline was very strong. Lin Feng used the space treasure cross returns to 0. A silver cross in the void instantly scattered and turned into sharp blades. It could both attack and defend. The first layer of the imaginary cross already had a powerful ability. The sound of metal colliding was continuous. The warriors of the White Wheel tribe roared angrily, but their first attack was blocked. Sporadic attacks through the turbulent space to Lin Feng were weakened by the armor on his body. Bang! Lin Feng borrowed the force of the collision to retreat, his expression solemn. Lin Feng hadn't been injured by this wave of attacks, only a little bit of impact. Behind him, Jia Dong and Xiong Di roared and charged forward, passing by Lin Feng to protect him. The Golden Lion Holy King didn't attack. Instead, he stood guard beside Lin Feng. Lin Feng stood still and frowned slightly. What happened? Why would the warriors of the White Wheel tribe attack him? Because I broke the restriction? Lin Feng's heart was filled with suspicions as he looked over at the White Wheel tribe warriors. Gritting his teeth, his eyes were bloodshot as he looked over at Jia Dong and Xiong Di. Could it be, come back? Lin Feng's sudden shout was like a sudden clap of thunder on the ground. Jia Dong and Xiong Di were stunned. They didn't know what had happened, but they managed to block the attack and retreated. The warriors of the White Wheel tribe wanted to attack again, but the soul-severing blade in Lin Feng's hand was already shining brightly. Bang! 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 Using the volcano saber art, Lin Feng's powerful attack missed its target, causing the space to tremble. The terrifying power made the warriors of the White Wheel tribe pale. They did not dare to take even half a step forward. Everyone, stop. It's a misunderstanding. Lin Feng raised his hand and said loudly. Who's misunderstanding with you? A short-haired warrior of the White Wheel tribe gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. Despicable and shameless humans, how dare you team up with the winged men to attack our compatriots? You want to invade our White Wheel tribe? Dream on. We, the White-Tail tribe, will never surrender to you. We won't be the dogs of the winged men. That's right. The blood flowing in our bodies is human blood. Winged men, get out. The warriors of the White Wheel tribe had high morale and were united against a common enemy. Pairs of fearless eyes looked at the four people of Lin Feng's group without fear. Even though they were not strong enough, they didn't retreat even half a step. Behind them, the elderly, women, and children of the White Wheel tribe could be vaguely seen. Is the chief and Bai Tang here? Lin Feng asked. The warriors of the White Wheel tribe were stunned. The short-haired warrior looked at Lin Feng with fear. How do you know Bai Tang? Lin Feng smiled. Because I've been living here for a while. Everyone was stunned. Despicable and shameless. The short-haired warrior was furious. You've been helped by the White Wheel tribe, but you betrayed us. You leaked the location of the White Wheel tribe to the winged men and brought them here. Even if I, Bai Qi, die, I'll drag you down with me." As he spoke, the short-haired warrior, Bai Qi, shook his battle sword and was about to attack again. The other warriors of the White Wheel tribe agreed loudly. Lin Feng said, "You've misunderstood. I'm not with the winged men. The two winged men behind me aren't real winged men. They're my slaves." Jia Dong and Xiong Ti bowed and said, "Master." The warriors of the White Wheel tribe widened their eyes in disbelief. Two six-winged man-kings, one of which had an excellent bloodline, actually recognized a human as their master? What a joke! And this human was just an immortal chaotic whole. The winged men were so arrogant. The warriors of the White Wheel tribe whispered to each other. From the expressions of the two winged men, it seemed like this human youth was right. The four of them were so powerful that they didn't need to lie. "Then why did you break the restriction?" Bai Qi was still afraid. "If I didn't break the restriction, how could I come in?" Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He had forgotten that Jia Dong and Xiong Ti were winged men. No wonder the White Wheel tribe didn't open the restriction. Seeing that everyone was still hesitant, Lin Feng asked again, "Are Bai Tang and the chief not here?" Bai Qi looked at Lin Feng deeply and said, "Bai Tang hasn't come back yet." The chief, she wanted to say something but stopped. At this moment, a beautiful woman in light brown animal skin flashed and landed in the air. She opened her beautiful eyes and said, "Lin Feng?" Bai Ling. Lin Feng greeted her with a smile. The woman was Bai Ling, who he had seen after coming out of the Universe Pillar Palace. She was Bai Tang's good friend. "You?" Bai Ling looked at the two winged men behind Lin Feng and opened her eyes wide. Lin Feng waved his hand, and the beast-controlling bead chain took Jia Dong and Xiong Ti back. The warriors of the White Wheel tribe gasped. Bai Qi, who was the leader, finally believed him. Everyone relaxed. Bai Qi cupped her hands and said, "I'm sorry, brother. I offended you just now. Please forgive me." "It's okay. No discord, no concord." Lin Feng smiled. Bai Ling came back to her senses and asked curiously, "Lin Feng, why are you back?" Lin Feng's eyes turned cold. He said seriously, "Do you know that the Qi clan of the Winged Men has discovered your whereabouts?" Chapter 1488. Qi Family Tribe? Lin Feng's words caused the White Wheel tribe's warriors to turn pale. Qi Family Tribe. Bai Ling's rosy lips moved as her beautiful eyes widened. The White Wheel tribe had settled here for more than a year or two, so they knew of the major forces around them. Including the Chang River Monster tribe, the White Wheel tribe knew of all the Winged Man tribes. Among them, the Qi Family Tribe was the strongest. They were the strongest Winged Man tribe in this region, with dozens of six-winged Winged Man kings and 4 intermediate Black Domain Masters. The strongest one was even close to the advanced Black Domain Master. Any one of the 4 intermediate Black Domain Masters could easily flatten the White Wheel tribe. It can't be, right? How could it be the Qi Family Tribe? It's over. Really? Lin Feng's words caused a commotion. Some were afraid, some were terrified, and some were skeptical. Lin Feng said, "There are 4 winged men from the Qi tribe standing guard outside the tribe. Everyone should know that I have winged men slaves, so it won't be difficult to get information." Everyone nodded. He looked at Lin Feng with a look of awe. Currently, Yuan City has open merit missions, and the Winged Man experts and human experts are fighting again. Even if it's a medium-sized tribe, the number of experts in the tribe can be counted on one hand, so it's not necessarily hopeless. Moreover, Lin Feng paused, the tribe is dead, but the people are alive. The tribe can be rebuilt, but the people can't come back to life. Everyone was discussing. Although moving a tribe involved a lot of risks and would cause great damage to the tribe's vitality, it was still better than being wiped out by the winged race experts. To a certain extent, it was fortunate that they had discovered it in time. Where did Bai Tang go? Lin Feng looked at Bai Ling. With Bai Tang's personality, there was no reason for her to stay out of this matter. It was strange for her to go out at this time. Bai Ling wanted to say something, but hesitated. She sighed softly. It's a long story. Lin Feng glanced at Bai Ling, then looked at Bai Qi and the rest of the White Wheel warriors. Everyone had a strange expression on their faces. Lin Feng said, "There's nothing that can't be said. I came to the White Wheel tribe this time, so I don't plan to stay out of this matter. If everyone treats me as one of your own, you can speak frankly." Bai Qi said in a low voice. Bai Tang blamed himself, so he risked his life to get reinforcements. Blame myself? Lin Feng was puzzled. Bai Qi pondered and said, "Not long ago, Bai Tang encountered a group of Chan He monster race. They were fighting a bloody battle with the Winged Men clan. Bai Tang helped the Chan He monster race and fought to the death with the Winged Men clan. Although he was injured, he managed to save the Chan He monster race and brought them back to his clan." Lin Feng nodded. Sister Bai Tang was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. She was very kind. Although the humans and the Chan He monster race were not allies, there were often some emotional ties between them. They helped each other, so it was understandable that Bai Tang helped the Chan He monster race as much as she could. But the Winged Men clan experts are very cunning. They have excellent spatial senses. They followed us all the way here. Although they don't know the exact location of the White Wheel tribe, they have framed an area. Bai Ling sighed. Lin Feng instantly understood. No wonder the Winged Men could only wander around nearby but couldn't find the location. It turned out that there was such a thing in the middle. She helped wholeheartedly, but she didn't want to implicate the tribe. With Bai Tang's personality, she should be blaming herself and feeling sad, but she didn't know how to make up for it. This wasn't her fault. It was just fate making fools of people. The people of the White Wheel tribe didn't blame Bai Tang. "I want to see the chief," Lin Feng said. Bai Ling looked at Lin Feng and said, "The chief has passed away, and the White Wheel tribe hasn't elected a new chief yet. Fortunately, the white-tailed warrior Bai Qi, who went out to train, returned. That's why the tribe isn't in chaos." Lin Feng nodded. Among the warriors of the White Wheel tribe, only Bai Qi was the master of the Black region. Because he was strong, his prestige was high. All the people of the White Wheel tribe followed his lead. Since that's the case, I might as well say it. Lin Feng's gaze swept over and looked at Bai Qi. The Qi family tribe is strong. The White Wheel tribe is definitely not their match. Moreover, the enemy is in the dark, and we are in the light. In the current situation, escaping is the only right choice. "We are not afraid of death," one of the White Wheel warriors shouted with a red neck. "That's right. At most, we will die together with the leader of the Winged Men. We are not men who are afraid of death. Kill these Winged Men and protect our home." Everyone was born and raised in the White Wheel tribe. They had deep feelings for the tribe. It was hard for them to give up in such a short time. "You don't only have yourselves. There are also them." Lin Feng pointed to the back. The old, weak, women and children of the White Wheel tribe were all weak. If the other warriors insisted on fighting the Qi family tribe to the end, these old, weak, women and children would have no way out. The scene was silent. "Let's go. If we don't leave now, it will be too late," Lin Feng said seriously. "The big picture is more important." Bai Qi and the other warriors looked at each other, hesitating and discussing. Finally, looking at the old, weak, women and children, Bai Qi finally made up her mind. "You are right. We are not only ourselves. We cannot act according to our whims," so, as she was speaking, a White Wheel warrior suddenly rushed over. His face was filled with panic as he shouted, "Not good, the Winged Men are here. There are so many Winged Men." Hua, the atmosphere instantly froze. Everyone felt suffocated, their faces pale. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He did not expect the Winged Men of the Qi family tribe to come so quickly. Bai Qi's face was extremely serious. She chatted with the White Wheel warrior and then left with him. The other tribal warriors also followed him. They still came. Bai Ling looked into the distance and sighed. Actually, I suggested that everyone abandon the rook to save the king. But everyone still felt lucky and was unwilling to abandon the tribe. Plus, with the death of the chief, the tribe is already scattered and lacks cohesion. I only hope that this time, it is only the vanguard that came to probe. Otherwise, a trace of fear appeared on Bai Ling's face. It was not that she was afraid of death, but she was afraid that the White Wheel tribe would be exterminated. Such things happened every year in the North Continent, and not just once or twice. The human race and the Winged Men tribe had always been fighting endlessly. We can't leave, Lin Feng suddenly said. Looking at the horizon, he had already spread out his senses. The entire space was in a sticky state, as if it had been solidified. Only the Winged Men, who were proficient in the laws of space, could do such an ability. They had locked the space. Not to mention teleportation, even other true meanings of space were not easy to use. The angry and desperate voices of the White Wheel warriors came from afar. They clearly knew what this meant. The Winged Men of the Qi family tribe had already surrounded them. They were like turtles in a jar. Huh! Lin Feng was surprised. At this moment, he spread out his senses and felt a familiar aura. It was her? Chapter 1489. Lin Feng naturally didn't forget about the Chan River demons in the Xiong tribe. Their leader was a princess of the Chan River demon race named Tang Xian. He already had a certain understanding of the Winged Men and humans, but the Chan River demon race had always been a mystery. Even Jia Dong, Xiong Di, and the other 6 Winged Man kings knew very little about the Chan River demon race. This was a mysterious race that couldn't be ignored. Whoosh! Lin Feng came to the edge of the White Wheel tribe. The people resting there immediately widened their eyes. Some were as strong as bulls, some were as thin as monkeys, and some had long tails. The leader was the young girl from the Empty Valley Ghost. Her snow-white skin seemed to be carved from jade, and her elf-like long ears were delicate and beautiful. When she saw Lin Feng appear, her reaction was exactly the same as the other Chan River demons. She opened her cherry-red lips slightly. Tang Xian was stunned. Lin Feng? Why are you here? Lin Feng smiled. I should be the one asking you that. Tang Xian's pink cheeks were slightly red, as though she found it hard to speak. After a long while, she tilted her head slightly. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Don't tell me that Sister Bai Tang saved you? Whoosh! Tang Xian's face instantly turned red, and she responded with a voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. She was a princess, but she had been saved by a human twice. It was truly embarrassing. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. Although it was a coincidence, it wasn't that coincidental. There were very few Chan River demons on land. The Winged Men's combat strength was greatly reduced after entering Chan River, and the same was true for the Chan River demons. Therefore, the Chan River demons usually didn't come ashore. Although he had saved Tang Xian and the other Chan River demons, they still had to walk out of the forest and return to Chan River. The journey wasn't far, but it wasn't close either. They weren't strong. Even a slightly stronger 4-winged man king team might not be able to protect themselves, let alone a 6-winged man king team. Phew! Lin Feng sighed and shook his head. Sister Bai Tang had accidentally exposed the location of the White Wheel tribe in order to save them. I'm sorry, Tang Xian said softly, somewhat embarrassed. I know that it was because of me that the tribe was discovered by the Winged Men. Biting her lips, Tang Xian looked at Lin Feng. Hand me over. As long as you have me, the Winged Men clan will stop the war and protect the tribe. No! How can that be, Princess? Princess, how can you be so impulsive? If you want me to die, it should be me. No. I'll go. The rest of the Chan River demon race immediately began to quarrel. Lin Feng looked at Tang Xian. He was slightly surprised as well. He never expected a princess to have such courage. He could tell from her pure and bright eyes that she wasn't lying. What she said just now came from the bottom of her heart. It's already happened. You didn't want it to happen, Lin Feng said. There's no need to blame yourself now. Strictly speaking, I am also responsible for this matter. Lin Feng sighed softly. Given his strength, it wouldn't be difficult to send the Chan River demon race safely back to Chan River. He just needed to spend some time. However, he never expected that it would cause a chain reaction that would implicate Sister Bai Tang and the White Wheel tribe. Thank you. However, this matter started because of me. How can I stay out of it? Tang Xian shook her head stubbornly. She bit her bright red lips until they turned white. Her lotus-like arms trembled slightly. Although she was afraid, she still stubbornly persisted. Lin Feng saw her expression, and his heart was slightly touched. Lin Feng's eyes flickered slightly. He said to Tang Xian, stay here for now. If I need help, I'll come find you. Okay. Tang Xian nodded heavily. Her beautiful eyes were firm and persistent. Lin Feng nodded and left in a flash. He didn't need Tang Xian's help. With her strength, it was already good enough that she didn't help. This matter concerned the White Wheel tribe and Sister Bai Tang. Lin Feng didn't plan to stay out of it. He would help if he could. When the figure appeared, Bai Qi and the White Wheel tribe warriors couldn't help but turn around. I'm sorry, Brother Lin Feng. This is our White Wheel tribe's matter. We didn't want to implicate you, Bai Qi said with guilt. Bai Qi said guiltily. Although she had fought with Lin Feng before, since the misunderstanding had been resolved, the former enmity had long been buried. From his point of view, Lin Feng and Bai Tang were friends, and he was also a guest of the White Wheel tribe. He felt very guilty for involving Lin Feng in the Winged Men's attack. However, even if he wanted Lin Feng to stay out of it, he couldn't. How many winged men have come? Lin Feng asked directly. Bai Qi was startled. He then said, about a few thousand. They have already surrounded the entire area. The leader is one of the 4 intermediate masters of the Black region, Qi Feng. Because only he has grasped the intermediate true meaning of space freezing. Intermediate true meaning of space freezing? Lin Feng nodded thoughtfully. Right now, he could clearly feel that the surrounding space had solidified, and he was completely unable to use spatial teleportation. The elementary true meaning of space was basically sealed, unless the user's strength was stronger than Qi Feng's. Only the intermediate true meaning of space could display its power. As expected of a medium-sized tribe, they directly sent out a few thousand winged men. Lin Feng thought to himself, normally, a small tribe would only have a few thousand winged men. Seeing Bai Qi and the other White Wheel tribe warriors discussing nervously, they didn't have any countermeasures. With the White Wheel tribe's strength, a few 6-winged winged man kings would be enough to flatten them. Not to mention, there were a few thousand winged men led by the intermediate masters of the Black region. They could easily crush the White Wheel tribe. Lin Feng sighed softly and pursed his lips. He clearly assessed his own combat strength. If he were to fight against a few thousand winged men, his chances of victory would be less than 20%. Even the intermediate master of the Black region, Qi Feng, was a tough opponent. Brother Bai Qi, Lin Feng said after pondering for a moment. Bai Qi was stunned and turned around. Lin Feng's gaze swept across the White Wheel warriors and said in a deep voice, while the winged men are still searching and haven't found the true location of the White Wheel tribe, immediately gather all the tribesmen. Bai Qi wanted to reply but was stopped by Lin Feng. His eyes sharpened. Let me finish. Once all the tribesmen have gathered, I will go out and lure away the winged men army of the Qi clan. At that time, take all the tribesmen and leave this place immediately. Remember, you only have one chance. Lin Feng's voice was deafening. Bai Qi and the other White Wheel warriors were all shocked. They stared at Lin Feng with wide eyes. This. Don't just stand there. Do it immediately. Quick. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he shouted. Bai Qi's body shook. He looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression. He clenched his fists and bowed deeply to Lin Feng. He then shouted, "Quick! Gather the tribesmen immediately!" Men didn't need to talk too much. Now was not the time to be shy. Chapter 1490. The Qi clan's army advanced. There were at least several thousand winged ones, and the one leading them was one of the Qi clan's 4 intermediate masters of the Black Domain, Qi Feng. The other 3 intermediate masters of the Black Domain were all out fighting, and he was the only one who had yet to recover from his injuries. Unexpectedly, he had picked up a great bargain. It should be a small human clan, but no matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. It's better than those 3 fools risking their lives. Qi Feng didn't have white wings. Although his bloodline was ordinary, his strength couldn't be underestimated. An intermediate Black Domain Master, even if injured, was still an intermediate Black Domain Master. His strength was much stronger than Xiong Li's. Search carefully. Qi Feng commanded the group of winged people with a calm expression. To him, it was too easy to wipe out such a human clan. It was as easy as blowing off dust. He didn't need to take any risks to earn a huge sum of money. Was there anything better than this? Finding and destroying a human clan was a great reward. What's more, human clans had a certain amount of wealth and treasures that would belong to him when the time came. The winged people thirsted for wealth, especially those with ordinary bloodlines. As long as they had money, they could buy a heaven and earth fruit to improve themselves. A heaven and earth fruit that could stimulate one's bloodline. This was what every 6-winged human king yearned for. However, such a heaven and earth fruit was very rare, and there were many who sought it. The rarer something was, the more valuable it was. To buy such a heaven and earth fruit was truly a sky-high price. Over and over again they searched the entire area. Qi Feng wasn't in a hurry. He flapped his wings and arrogantly looked down at them from the sky. Suddenly, purring, a violent explosion resounded through the area. Rocks flew everywhere, dust filled the air, and rocks cracked. The entire valley was like a bomb that had been detonated, instantly creating a huge mushroom cloud. Amidst the explosion, the winged people screamed. The 2-winged people's screams were mixed with the 4-winged people's screams. Their screams tore through the sky in an endless stream. Qi Feng's eyes lit up as he felt an enormous aura appear. The aura of a human. Chaos Whole Immortal? Qi Feng was slightly startled. He was about to move into battle when his figure stopped. He couldn't help but sneer. With his status, dealing with such a small fry was too embarrassing. His 6-winged man emperor was more than enough to kill this chaos whole undying. They should only be the vanguard. Since it was a human tribe, there couldn't be only one. He believed that the appearance of this chaos whole immortal was just a signal, a test. Kill him! Qi Mang and Kong Gu shouted, their voices echoing in the air. The morale of the winged race army was high, and they had already surrounded Lin Feng, ruthlessly attacking him. Facing the encirclement of so many winged race people, Lin Feng seemed to be powerless, and the strength he had displayed just now was like a flash in the pan, withering away. Qi Feng smiled coldly and didn't care. In his opinion, this human expert was just taking advantage of the situation. He was naturally strong when he launched a sneak attack, but now? Even if they used the winged men's sea tactic, they would be able to crush him to death. At this moment, the riot in front of them was even more violent. Gravel and dust were scattered everywhere. Suddenly, a wisp of black haze appeared. The image of a ferocious demon in the void was approaching. The soul-severing black prison saber in Lin Feng's hand suddenly appeared. He made his move. He quickly killed the many 4-winged men around him, batch after batch. The black blood saber in his hand was like a greedy demon, constantly reaping the lives of the winged race experts. From the 2-winged man to the 4-winged man, and then to the 6-winged man emperor. Boom! Lin Feng directly killed a 6-winged man emperor. This time, Qi Feng couldn't stay still. Although he was shocked by the strength of this human in front of him, he was still just a chaos whole undying. Qi Feng believed that he was stronger, even if he was injured and could only use 60% of his combat strength. Intermediate true meaning, space condensation. Qi Feng attacked with an intermediate true meaning. In an instant, the surrounding space condensation suddenly disappeared as if it was being compressed and refined, directly condensing toward Lin Feng. Swish! Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. It went smoother than planned. In order for the White Wheel tribe to escape, they first had to break this true meaning of space. Lin Feng didn't expect Qi Feng to take the initiative to withdraw. His original plan was to attack and affect Qi Feng, then let him break it himself. He didn't expect Qi Feng to be so cooperative. Lin Feng didn't care about the intermediate true meaning at all. The black vortex in his bloodline rapidly spun and absorbed it, completely the nemesis of the space law. The soul-severing saber in his hand twisted and shook, instantly breaking the weak intermediate true meaning space condensation. After all, it was only a control technique. Moreover, it relied more on space energy, so it wasn't a threat to him. Lin Feng immediately engaged in a fierce confrontation with Qi Feng. The surrounding winged race people didn't dare to approach and stood guard outside. However, each winged race person was brimming with confidence. In their opinion, if Qi Feng wanted to kill a chaos whole undying, wouldn't it be easy? But they were wrong. He was ridiculously wrong. Qi Feng was beaten back again and again. He was flustered and exasperated as he roared, "Damn it, if I wasn't injured, I wouldn't have lost to him." Qi Feng was so angry that his face turned red. A dignified intermediate black region master was beaten up by a chaos whole undying. How embarrassing! But now, it wasn't a matter of shame. Lin Feng's saber had completely suppressed him. Even so, Qi Feng's defense was still quite good. Not only did he block Lin Feng's saber, but he also protected himself perfectly. Even if he was injured, his body was already undying and would recover very quickly. After a fierce battle, Lin Feng seemed to be unable to catch up. After a fierce clash, he quickly pulled away and retreated. Qi Feng, who was trying his best to resist, was stunned. When he saw this human running away, his eyes widened and he couldn't come back to his senses. He beat him up and then ran away? This was too much of a bully. Chase, chase after him! Qi Feng shouted, flustered and exasperated. Everyone, including himself, chased after Lin Feng. Qi Feng locked the space while searching for Lin Feng's aura. With his strength as a black region master, Lin Feng couldn't pull away, let alone escape. But before he could catch up, Qi Feng suddenly reacted. "Not good, we've fallen into a trap." In the distance, a six-winged human monarch rushed over and reported in a panic. The human ran that way. In the opposite direction. "Damn it!" Qi Feng roared. "Chase, all of you! Chase that way! Don't let a single one escape!" After saying that, Qi Feng became even more furious and chased after Lin Feng. He would never let this human escape. Apart from those killed by Lin Feng, the thousands of winged people instantly split into two groups. One group followed Qi Feng to chase after Lin Feng, while the other group chased after the fleeing human. But Qi Feng didn't want to be overbearing. Not long after the two groups of winged people split up and left, the group of humans behind the waterfall appeared. Chapter 1491. If Qi Feng was in perfect condition, Lin Feng would have at most a 30% chance of winning. After all, Qi Feng was an intermediate black domain master. Even if he had an ordinary bloodline, he was still incomparable to a beginner black domain master. Although Lin Feng's strength had improved a lot, his immortal chaos whole strength was still limited. However, Qi Feng, who was injured, could only use less than 60% of his strength. In addition, he looked down on Lin Feng, which was why he was beaten up by Lin Feng. In fact, their strength was about the same. Although Lin Feng had the upper hand, he could only injure Qi Feng, not kill him. The winged man army numbered in the thousands, and there were many six-winged man kings. Once he was surrounded, it would be a disaster for Lin Feng. Moreover, he clearly knew that his mission was to lure them away, not fight. Now was not the time to show off. "Stop right there, human!" Qi Feng roared again and again, his eyes fierce. He constantly used the true meaning of space to shackle Lin Feng's movements, but the effect was greatly reduced. The black vortex in his bloodline gave Lin Feng a lot of convenience. Although he was not a black domain master, Lin Feng's spatial energy and resistance to spatial energy were not inferior to ordinary black domain masters. After his advancement, it was even better. With Xiongdi's ability, there shouldn't be much of a problem, Lin Feng thought. After luring Qi Feng away, the winged man army of the Qi clan would be leaderless. The strongest would only be a six-winged man king. Although Xiongdi was also a beginner black domain master, he had an excellent bloodline, and his status in the winged man race was comparable to an intermediate black domain master. With him leading the wrong direction, the winged man army would definitely fall for it. Success or failure depended on this move. The White Wheel tribe could not be left alive unless the entire Qi clan was destroyed. Otherwise, even if they survived today's calamity, the Qi clan would come again next time with even more and stronger winged men. "It's a pity that the White Wheel tribe has accumulated for countless epochs," Lin Feng lamented. For a tribe to take root in a place for so long, they must have spent a lot of manpower and effort. However, once they were discovered, they would be burned to the ground. In this land, the winged race was the king, while the humans were just struggling at death's door. Although Yurin City stood tall, it wasn't because the Yurin clan was strong, but because of the existence of Yurin Emperor. When the Yu human sovereign fell one day, the Yu human clan would be no different from the other human clans. "Don't run. If you have the guts, stop and fight again." Qi Feng's roars came from behind. Lin Feng wouldn't stop. He had to buy enough time for the White Wheel tribesmen to escape. With his current physique, Qi Feng could not catch up to him with speed alone. Spatial shackles couldn't do anything to him. However, with his aura locked down, it would not be an easy matter for Lin Feng to really want to escape. One chased while the other fled. After an unknown period of time, Lin Feng finally stopped when he could no longer sense any aura other than Qi Feng's. He had lost track of all the four-winged winged man leaders and six-winged winged man kings. At this point, the people of the White Wheel tribe should be safe. Now, he could really fight with Qi Feng. "He's very stubborn." Lin Feng smiled in his heart. This intermediate black domain master, Qi Feng, was clearly a stubborn person. After chasing for so long, he still hadn't given up. Clang! Lin Feng unsheathed the black prison soul-severing saber, and his aura suddenly rose. Ha! He used the volcano saber art. His first move was like a thunderbolt, directly attacking Qi Feng. After being chased for so long, Lin Feng's heart had been stifled. He used the saber in his hand to vent the pent-up anger in his heart. He had also endured for a long time. Ha ha! Qi Feng laughed wildly. Seeing that Lin Feng was finally willing to stop running, he was incomparably arrogant. In his opinion, besides running fast, this human in front of him was not his opponent at all. The reason why he stopped now was because he had run out of ideas and could no longer escape. "Die, human!" Qi Feng bared his teeth. His huge fleshy wings turned into sharp saber lights. His claws were like lightning and as fast as the wind. The entire space seemed to be cut and bound, and sizzling sounds kept ringing out. In terms of space control and space true intent law, Qi Feng was far superior to humans. He was an intermediate black region master. Moreover, he did not rely on bloodline to become an intermediate black region master. However, as soon as they exchanged blows, Qi Feng was shocked. The human who had fought with him before not only became stronger, but his attack speed was also faster. His saber intent was astonishing, and he was facing him head-on. Bang! What a strong power! Qi Feng was a little shocked. His arm was numb and he was furious. Cunning human, how dare you hide your strength? Just now he... Not good. Qi Feng's expression changed. At this time, no matter how stupid he was, he could tell that this human had spent so much effort to hide his strength. Naturally, this human must have a purpose, and this purpose, at this point, he could guess it without thinking. The human tribe must have safely evacuated. I'll kill you. Qi Feng was so angry that his hair stood on end, and his cyan eyes became ferocious and terrifying. With a violent roar, Qi Feng's speed increased. The wings on his back were like gliders, rapidly tearing through space. A hair-raising sound accompanied Qi Feng's anger, and his attacks became sharper. Whoosh! Lin Feng's hand flashed, and the cross returned to 0. Rays of silver light condensed. The first layer illusory cross. The space distorted, and the silver cross instantly enlarged, blocking Qi Feng. The latter coldly snorted, revealing a look of disdain. Using a spatial treasure in front of him was simply overestimating oneself. His hands formed into claws, and the space was quickly compressed. The silver cross was somewhat deformed. Nightmare's skull. Hell Soul severing saber. Lin Feng rapidly increased the intensity of his dark demonic power. His blood-red eyes were incomparably demonic, and killing intent erupted. He instantly displayed the 30% comprehension of the snow saber technique. The illusory cross was not meant to injure Qi Feng, but to delay. In a battle, the rhythm and initiative were very important. The rapid display of the illusory cross, which originated from the power of the black vortex in his bloodline, caused Qi Feng's attack to collapse. Although it was only interrupted, it was enough to give Lin Feng the upper hand. In a battle where there was not much difference in strength, even a slight advantage could be fatal. The White Wheel tribe was now in ruins. Suddenly, there was a violent fluctuation in space, and a black mass of figures galloped in from the distance. The leader was a man in purple-brown armor. His face was bumpy, and his appearance was very ugly, but he was tall and majestic. There was a deep iron hook on his forehead, sharp and frightening. Almost all the figures behind him had such an iron hook on their foreheads. They were clearly of the tribe's bloodline. Beside the ugly man was Bai Tang, who had left the tribe earlier. Her face was pale. Looking at the ruins of the White Wheel tribe, Bai Tang's eyes were bleeding, and her delicate body could not stop trembling violently. No, this can't be true. Bai Tang's head roared. Chapter 1492. I'm too late. Bai Tang muttered. Her white hands were trembling, and her eyes were lifeless. She knew her duty. This was because of her, so she had to do her best to save the tribe. First, she went to the other tribes of the Whitetail tribe, but no one was willing to help. But now it was too late to say anything. This was where she was born, where she grew up, where the Whitetail tribe's foundation had been built up over countless years. Because of a single mistake, she had accidentally brought disaster to the tribe and her clansmen. This disaster was devastating. Look around, the ugly man said in a deep voice. Yes, great commander. The group of human cultivators immediately spread out and searched around. Every human cultivator had an iron hook mark on their forehead. It was the bloodline mark of the Whitetail tribe. The ugly man in the lead was called Go Wu. He was an intermediate Black Region master and the great commander of the Whitetail tribe. He was extremely strong. The situation may not be so bad, Go Wu comforted. Bai Tang bit her lips until they turned purple. She nodded and looked around, but her eyes were blank. She didn't even know what she was doing. Soon, the Whitetail tribe members came back with their report. Great Commander Go Wu's ugly face was very serious, and he nodded from time to time. There are no corpses nearby, and there is no smell of blood, Go Wu said to Bai Tang. A smile appeared on his ugly face. Don't worry, your clansmen should have escaped safely. Really? Bai Tang was shocked and overjoyed. Go Wu nodded. Not necessarily. The possibility of them being captured is also very high. Bai Tang bit her lips and showed a determined expression. No matter what, at least there was hope. Bai Tang said to Go Wu, "Do you know which direction they went?" Go Wu looked around. "There are spatial fluctuations on both sides. It's hard to be sure. Can you accompany me over there to take a look?" Bai Tang pointed at one side and looked at Go Wu. "Sure." Go Wu nodded. On the other side, Lin Feng and Qi Feng were fighting fiercely. One had a powerful body, the other had shocking spatial laws. They both had their strengths, so they were evenly matched. Lin Feng became more confident as he fought, and even his blade technique became more refined. Why is the power of this boy's saber technique getting stronger and stronger? The more Qi Feng fought, the more shocked he became. At first, it was still okay. After he figured out Lin Feng's swordsmanship, he gained the upper hand for a short period of time. However, it didn't take long before he was pulled back. This human youth's perception was quite terrifying. The strength of his swordsmanship seemed to increase with every swing of his sword. Human's power of comprehension is too terrifying. Qi Feng was already starting to feel apprehensive. Lin Feng's attacks carried a hint of timidity. His fighting spirit had been suppressed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng, who had completely integrated himself into the snow saber technique, was indeed improving his saber technique, just as Qi Feng had seen. To be more precise, it was Lin Feng's cultivation that was increasing. The heavenly way of the saber had arrived. The power level of the Blackfield Master. With the advancement of his black bloodline vortex, Lin Feng's level of existence had been raised to a higher level. Even the master of the Black Domain's strength had increased greatly. He had long since touched the edge of the heavenly way of the saber. Right now, it was precisely the edge that was knocked open bit by bit, enlarging the hole and gradually revealing the light. The snow saber technique was originally the beginner's saber technique. Lin Feng's saber technique realm was increasing. Although he still hadn't fully comprehended the snow saber technique, its power was increasing. During the slaughter, he was more in tune with the dark magic law. He even had some faint understanding of the dark magic law. Using battle as training. In battle, especially in a battle of life and death, it was the easiest to comprehend. Boom! Lin Feng's black prison soul severing saber sent Qi Feng flying. The latter was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe that he had been forced to this point by a mere human expert. This human youth's strength was like a bottomless pit. There was no end to it. How can he be so strong? Qi Feng gritted his teeth, his chest rising and falling rapidly. There was some fear in his eyes. The human youth's body wasn't very tall, but it was like a mountain in front of him. It was difficult to cross over. Boom! Lin Feng attacked again. The partial mastery of the heavenly way of the saber's beginner's saber made the power of the snow saber technique even stronger. The toughness of ice and the softness of snow combined together to form the snow saber technique. As the realm of the saber technique increased, the power of the snow saber technique gradually increased. The balance of the scales had finally tilted. It slowly shifted toward Lin Feng. Pung! Lin Feng knocked down Qi Feng for the umpteenth time. The latter was also tenacious. The physical body of the winged clan was already quite strong, let alone an intermediate Black Domain master. I can't continue to tangle with him. Qi Feng felt a trace of danger. The mid-level true meaning of space allowed Qi Kuang to possess a space of his own. Qi Kuang hastily used spatial teleportation to escape, but when his spatial teleportation changed direction, he was stunned to discover that Lin Feng, who was originally far away from him, had somehow appeared in front of him. How can this be? Qi Feng didn't understand at all. His eyes were filled with shock. The heaven-piercing saber shrouded in endless black haze directly swallowed him. Even an intermediate Black Domain master was no longer invincible in front of the current Lin Feng. The saber retracted and he stood upright. Lin Feng's qi and blood churned, but he was also slightly injured. In addition, the continuous use of spatial energy had consumed a lot of the black bloodline vortex. If it weren't for the stored spatial energy, he wouldn't have been able to support it. Greater spatial teleportation just so happens to restrain spatial teleportation. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Another dead soul had been added to his saber. As he advanced from a dark matter expert to an immortal chaotic whole, both spatial teleportation and greater spatial teleportation had increased by a level. Previously, he could only teleport or shift 1,000th of a light year. Now, he could directly teleport 100th of a light year. What a pity! Lin Feng looked at the dead Qi Feng and felt pity. When he fought with him, he wasn't in perfect condition. At most, he was at 60% of his strength. To be honest, his victory in this battle wasn't glorious. But this was war. The winner was king and the loser was in the wrong. Only the results mattered. Mercy was the most useless. I wonder how Jia Dong and Xiongli are doing. Did everything go well? Lin Feng was still a little worried. After recovering some of his breath, he immediately returned. On the way, he encountered many four-winged people and even six-winged people. He easily killed all of them. To the current Lin Feng, these winged people were no match at all. It was effortless. One batch after another, Lin Feng didn't let any of them go. Soon, he was halfway back. Suddenly, Lin Feng was slightly surprised. There were sounds and auras of fighting ahead. Are they our people? Lin Feng spread out his aura. Instantly, his eyes shone and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. His figure flashed and rushed toward the source of the aura. There, he sensed a familiar aura. Sister Bai Tang was back. Chapter 1493. How can there be so many? Go Wu waved his hand, and a four-winged man leader was instantly killed. However, there were so many winged men that he couldn't see the end of. Their numbers far outnumbered the Zhigo tribe. Go Wu was indeed an intermediate Black Region master, but most of the people he brought were only Chaos Holes. There were only 3 beginner Black Region masters. He thought it would be easy to save the White Wheel tribe, and that it was just a small winged man tribe. Who would have thought? I'm afraid it'll be hard to explain when we return. Go Wu frowned and glanced at Bai Tang with admiration. The Zhigo tribe was born ugly, so they could only marry ugly women. Beautiful women like Bai Tang with good bloodlines were extremely rare. Hence, Go Wu proposed the marriage when Bai Tang needed his help. Although he was taking advantage of the situation, Go Wu believed that the reward must be equal to the effort, but now he was at a disadvantage. These tribe brothers were all lives. Although he used training as the reason, if the casualties were too great, it would be hard to explain to the tribe leader and elders. I'll give it a try. If there's no other way, I'll have to give up on her. Go Wu glanced at Bai Tang, his heart as clear as a mirror. Although he coveted Bai Tang's beauty, it didn't mean he would give up everything for her. However, he couldn't back down now. Even if he didn't want to fight, the winged men wouldn't let him go. The winged men clan had always hunted down and killed humans mercilessly. There was no reason to speak of. The battle raged on, with both humans and winged men dying at every moment. Although the winged men of the Qi tribe had split into 2 groups, each group still had thousands of winged men. Although Go Wu's strength was outstanding, he was alone. Under the attacks of more than 10 six-winged man kings, the Zhigo tribe suffered heavy losses. One beginner Black Region master was even heavily injured. Go Wu's expression was ugly. To any tribe, a Black Region master was a valuable asset. It didn't matter if a Chaos Whole immortal died, but a Black Region master was one less. Seeing the situation getting worse, Go Wu had thoughts of retreating. However, if he retreated now, all his previous efforts would be wasted, including those killed by the winged men. However, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He could neither advance nor retreat. Although they were evenly matched at the moment, no one could predict the direction of the battle. As more and more of their clansmen were killed, the disparity in numbers was likely to increase again. Chi. Gowu's black sword slashed out, killing another four-winged leader. Looking at the bloody battlefield, he gritted his teeth. If they didn't retreat now, the consequences would be even worse. With a roar, the black sword in Gowu's hand shone with a cold light, attracting the attention of all the winged ones. Rumbling sounds continued as his strength erupted, pinning down the winged ones. Just as he was about to speak, suddenly, boom! In front of them, a powerful force that resembled a volcanic eruption descended. Like a huge cannonball, it blasted apart the winged men's formation from behind. The winged men's screams of agony rang out incessantly. Gowu was stunned. Not only him, all the Go-human race clansmen, including Bai Tang, looked in that direction. The saber radiance overflowed and slashed down from the sky. Streaks of cold light shot out, completely disrupting the formation of the entire winged person army. What a strong saber will! What a profound saber technique realm! Gowu's eyes lit up. He knew that a helper had arrived. He laughed heartily, but then he changed his mind. Experts knew experts. Although it was just stealing from a leopard, Gowu knew that the newcomer's strength was not inferior to his. There was no need for too many of such experts. One was enough. Brothers, a human expert is here to help. Kill all these birdmen, ha ha ha. Gowu's wild howl boosted the morale of the Go-human race. The human warriors were greatly encouraged, and their combat strength soared. They killed the winged ones until they howled like ghosts. The newcomer was Lin Feng. After killing Chi Feng, he happened to run into Bai Tang here. Naturally, he would not stand by and watch. Moreover, numbers were never a problem for him. Whether it was the four-winged leader or the six-winged leader, they were all easily killed with a single slash. Gowu was wrong about one thing. Not only was Lin Feng's strength not inferior to his, it was completely above his. Especially after the battle with Chi Feng, Lin Feng's strength had improved. His current saber technique realm was extremely close to the true saber Heavenly Dao's first arrival. That was the realm of a true dark region master. If he fully comprehended it and supplemented it with the first arrival saber technique, Lin Feng would be able to laugh at a mid-level dark region master, even if it was just guiding the saber technique. Realm, body, and laws. How shocking was it to have all three? Boom! Peng! Long! Lin Feng's attack forcefully pried open the formation of the winged person army. At first, there were still winged people desperately attacking Lin Feng, but they were soon scattered. Some ran while others fled. The winged people were not stupid. Facing such an expert, they could not wait to hide. Who would want to die? Even without the Zhigo tribe, Lin Feng alone was enough to fight 1,000-strong winged person army. The winged person army screamed miserably. As more than half of them died, the leading six-winged person king was the first to flee. Soon, the other four-winged person commanders also fled, their expressions filled with fear. How many of them could escape was good enough. This human was too terrifying. The battle ended with a bang. Although the Zhigo tribe had suffered a lot, they were still able to defeat 1,000-strong winged person army. The tribesmen had been tempered by blood and slaughter, so they were very excited. That was the winged person army. The insufferably arrogant winged person army had been driven away by them. Gowu smiled as he looked at Bai Tang, secretly praising his good luck. If that expert had come a little later, he would have had to abandon Bai Tang and flee. Seeing Bai Tang staring blankly ahead, Gowu also looked over. The human expert had arrived. He was wearing black armor and wielded a black saber. It was a young martial artist. So young? Gowu couldn't help but be startled. His eyes widened. Immortal Chaos Hole? His senses weren't wrong, right? The super expert who had just defeated the winged person army and fought against 10,000 was actually just an immortal Chaos Hole? Gowu's mouth was agape in disbelief. At this moment, the human youth smiled and said, "Long time no see, big sister Bai Tang." "Yes, long time no see, Lin Feng." Bai Tang came back to her senses and smiled. She stared at Lin Feng with her big eyes, the shock in her heart no less than Go Wu's. She was most aware of Lin Feng's strength, so she never would have thought that the super expert who had helped her just now would be him. His strength was comparable to a mid-level black domain master. How long had it been? How could his strength have improved so quickly? Bai Tang sighed and shook her head. When she had first met Lin Feng, his strength had been very ordinary. She could have easily defeated Lin Feng, but now Lin Feng was already standing at the top of the stairs, far beyond her reach. Chapter 1494. Really, Lin Feng? Bai Tang's beautiful eyes widened as tears of joy welled up in the corners of her eyes. Yes, they're safe now, Lin Feng said with a smile. Because the Golden Lion Holy King was with the White Wheel tribe, he knew where they were and that they had escaped safely. He said to Bai Tang, "Come with me." Okay. Bai Tang nodded vigorously. Her long eyebrows finally relaxed as she smiled. What she feared the most was that her tribe would be destroyed and her tribesmen killed. Although her tribe had been exposed and forced to move, at least her tribesmen were safe. That was more important than anything else. A tribe could be rebuilt if it was destroyed, but without her tribesmen, there would be nothing left. Soon, Bai Tang, Go Wu, and the others followed Lin Feng. The journey was calm and peaceful. The remaining half of the winged tribe had been led around the garden by Xiongli. They had no idea where they were now. Sister Bai Tang. Bai Ling ran over excitedly when she saw Bai Tang. Bai Qi and the others smiled when they saw Bai Tang return. Bai Tang was quite popular in the White Wheel tribe. Brother Lin, the White Wheel tribe will never forget your kindness. After greeting the Jing'o tribe, Bai Qi bowed deeply to Lin Feng. His expression was solemn and respectful. I, Bai Qi, represent the tribe to kneel and thank you, Brother Lin. After saying that, Bai Qi knelt on one knee. Bai Qi was a man of steel. He clearly knew that if it weren't for Lin Feng, the White Wheel tribe wouldn't have been able to escape from the Qi clan's clutches. Us too. Behind Bai Qi, the tribe's warriors followed suit and knelt on one knee. No need to be so polite. Lin Feng lifted Bai Qi and smiled. The White Wheel tribe is like my home. I will do my best to help. Fortunately, only a mid-level Black Region master came today. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Bai Qi couldn't help but ask curiously, Brother Lin, how did you escape from Qi Feng? His control over space is quite strong. Bai Qi wasn't the only one curious. The White Wheel tribe's warriors were also very curious. Lin Feng was merely an immortal chaos hole. In terms of control over the law of space, he was far inferior to Qi Feng. How could he escape? I can't shake him off. Lin Feng shook his head. Everyone was even more stunned. Still haven't gotten rid of him? Then how did he escape? Many pairs of puzzled eyes looked at Lin Feng. Bai Qi frowned. She didn't understand what Lin Feng meant. So, I killed him. Lin Feng spoke in a casual manner, but it caused the entire place to turn solemn. Everyone was aghast, and their mouths were wide open as they looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. It can't be? Bai Qi was stunned. Lin Feng killed Qi Feng? That was an intermediate Black Domain master. Lin Feng's words made everyone's heart tremble. They looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a monster. How could this be? How could a Chaos Whole Immortal kill an intermediate Black Region master? This was simply unheard of. However, Lin Feng wouldn't lie. Moreover, if Qi Feng hadn't died, how could Lin Feng have escaped? What you said, is it true, Brother Lin? Bai Qi's voice trembled. Why? Are you afraid of the Qi clan's revenge? Lin Feng joked. Bai Qi smiled bitterly. I'm just too surprised. Brother Lin's strength is really unfathomable. Recalling that she had treated Lin Feng as an enemy, Bai Qi's cheeks flushed with guilt. Not only did Lin Feng not hold a grudge, but he also repaid evil with good. His breadth of mind was truly admirable. With Lin Feng's strength, even the entire White Wheel tribe combined wouldn't be enough to kill him. let alone her. He was a super powerhouse who could kill an intermediate black domain master. Do you have any plans now? Are you going to find a place to settle the tribe? Lin Feng asked. Bai Qi shook her head. It's not that easy to find a good place. Every time we settle down, we hope to maintain the tribe for a longer period of time. Moreover, it's too difficult to find a perfect place. If we're lucky, we can find one in a few decades. If we're unlucky, it'll take us hundreds or thousands of years. Lin Feng nodded. After all, this was related to the safety of her clansmen. Finding a place to settle down wasn't a problem. However, if the winged clan found out, it would be the end of the world. Therefore, they had to be extremely careful. We have the best relationship with the White Tan tribe. I think we should go find them first and live there for a while before making any plans. Bai Qi pondered, her voice somewhat delayed. Will they take you in? Lin Feng looked behind Bai Qi. There were quite a few people in the White Wheel tribe. Probably, Bai Qi murmured. Probably not. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. If the White Tan tribe really has such a good relationship with you, Sister Bai Tang wouldn't have just stood by when she went to ask for help. Although we're both white-tailed humans, we're actually two different tribes. Bai Qi frowned and didn't say anything. Lin Feng continued, It's the same for the other white-tailed humans. You've offended the Qi clan this time, the strongest force in this area. With the winged clan's vengeful nature, you've truly angered the Qi clan this time. They'll definitely dig 3 feet into the ground to find you. The White Tan tribe is also located in this area. It's already good that they didn't curse you behind your back. Why would they take you in? Lin Feng glanced at Bai Qi. He hadn't said too much. In his opinion, it was already good that the White Tan tribe didn't take in the White Wheel tribe. If they did, it would be terrifying. They could push the White Wheel tribe to their deaths and protect themselves. This was because once the Qi clan couldn't find the White Wheel tribe, they wouldn't stop searching. At that time, it was inevitable that they would accidentally find the White Tan tribe. It was the same for other tribes. As long as they were in this area, who wouldn't be afraid of the Qi clan? That was a medium-sized winged clan, the overlord of this area. This time, only a small portion of the winged clan came. I know that too. Bai Qi sighed softly and raised her head to look at Lin Feng. It doesn't feel good to live under someone else's roof, but there's no other way now. It's better than sleeping outside. Outside, they could be found by the winged clan at any time. Lin Feng frowned slightly. There were too many people in the White Wheel tribe, and it wasn't convenient to enter Yurin City. Moreover, he had offended the Yurin clan. If he arranged for them to stay in his residence, they might be implicated at any time. However, if he didn't go to Yurin City, he couldn't go anywhere else. What else could he do now? Everyone looked at each other with worried expressions. The longer they stayed outside, the more dangerous it would be. The news of Qi Feng's death would soon spread to the Qi clan. At that time, the Qi clan would be furious. The danger would increase again. But what else could he do? Lin Feng frowned and pursed his lips tightly. His eyes kept changing as he considered various possibilities and method. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows and Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Yes, we can try this method. Chapter 1495. The people of the White Wheel tribe were not the only ones who escaped this time. There was also her. Hello, Miss Tang Xian. Lin Feng walked to the front of the experts of the Chan River demon race and looked at the beautiful young lady. Her snow-white skin was like silk, and her bright eyes were like pearls at the bottom of the sea, shining brightly. Big brother Lin Feng. Tang Xian bowed. Tang Xian was extremely grateful to Lin Feng for saving her lifetime and time again. If it wasn't for him, she would have been kidnapped by the winged men long ago. Lin Feng smiled. I won't beat around the bush, Miss Tang Xian. Lin Feng pointed at the people of the White Wheel tribe and said, You should know what a tribe means to humans. I believe Miss Tang Xian is aware of the calamity that befell the White Wheel tribe this time. Tang Xian bit her rosy lips and nodded. She lowered her head slightly and said, "I'm sorry." Lin Feng said, "It has already happened. There's no point in looking for fault. What we should do now is to make up for it and deal with the aftermath." Tang Xian raised her head. Her pearl-like beautiful eyes flickered. "I can ask father to compensate them with a tribe." "How?" Lin Feng asked. Tang Xian was speechless. She didn't know how to answer. "We'll talk about this later. Because of you, the White Wheel tribe offended the Winged Men's Qi clan. They can no longer stay in this area. To be precise, they don't have a place to stay," Lin Feng said. Tang Xian's eyes were filled with guilt. She murmured, "I'm sorry." "Don't blame yourself. You didn't want this to happen." Lin Feng said, "I know that as a princess, you have a noble status in the Chan River demon race. Can you take them to the Chan River temporarily to avoid the calamity?" "How can that be?" "That's right. How can humans live in the Chan River?" "No, absolutely not." Before Tang Xian could reply, the other Chan River demon race members were already shouting. The Chan River was the motherland of the Chan River demon race. To the Chan River demon race, it was sacred and inviolable. Although the demons of Chan River and humans had a common enemy, they were not allies. In fact, they couldn't even be considered ordinary friends. They were just using each other. "Shut up!" Tang Xian shouted. The Yao of Chan River didn't dare to make a sound. They looked at Tang Xian submissively. Whether it was humans or Yao, status was extremely important. If the humans of the White Wheel tribe hadn't saved us, we would have died long ago. Tang Xian's beautiful eyes lit up as she reprimanded him sternly. In order to save us, not only did our human friends lose their territories, they even lost countless of their clansmen. But what about us? What have we done? Nothing. Tang Xian's voice was ice-cold. She faintly had the temperament of a superior. You only know how to hold on to useless identities and principles. What right do you have to refuse others? What right do you have to say such words? The Chan River monster race's members blushed, unable to utter a single word. Lin Feng was also surprised. He didn't expect a delicate young girl to say such words. He thought she was only a princess in name. She was mature and generous, completely different from the Yao he knew. "Big brother Lin Feng, there's no problem with what you said. Leave it to Xian." Tang Xian smiled and nodded. "Really?" Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Tang Xian nodded heavily. "One should never forget to repay a debt of gratitude. The White Wheel tribe and Big Brother Lin Feng saved us. Xian will do her best to repay you." "All right, then I'll discuss it with them." Lin Feng smiled. The biggest obstacle was easily solved. When they heard that they could enter Chan River, Bai Qi, Bai Tang, Bai Ling, and the others were all dumbfounded. That was Chan River. Not to mention humans, even the winged ones didn't dare to enter the motherland of the Chan River monster race. Now, not only could they enter Chan River, they could even temporarily reside in Chan River and obtain the protection of the Chan River monster race. Even large tribes didn't dare to enter Chan River, not to mention a medium-sized tribe like the Qi clan. The members of the White Wheel tribe couldn't help but smile. They would be lying if they said they weren't worried about the Qi clan. After all, they were too weak in front of the Qi clan. But now they were safe. As long as they could enter Chan River, they wouldn't have to worry about the winged ones. They could even leave this area through Chan River and avoid the Qi clan. They could find a new tribe and start anew. Although it would consume a lot of energy and manpower, they would be able to escape unscathed this time. They would retain a lot of strength and could greatly shorten the rebuilding process. Moreover, the tribe's most important essence wouldn't be lost: people, treasures, and inheritance. In less than an era, the new White Wheel tribe would stand tall in the North Continent again and become even stronger. All of this was because of one person. The White Wheel tribe will remember Brother Lin's kindness. If you need it in the future, the White Wheel tribe will be willing to go through fire and water to help Brother Lin. Bai Qi was a straightforward person. He would be good to whoever was good to him and the White Wheel tribe. Thank you. Bai Tang looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression. The members of the White Wheel tribe expressed their gratitude. To them, Lin Feng's kindness was too great. For a moment, Lin Feng felt a little embarrassed. The White Wheel tribe was too attentive. After discussing everything, everyone hurried on their way. After all, the more time they wasted, the more dangerous and troublesome it would be. They headed toward the Chan River, which was the closest to them. The Chan River formed a cross on the Tingqi continent, dividing the continent into the east, south, west, and north continents. Therefore, it wasn't easy to get to the Chan River. They had to walk to the border of the north continent. It was a race against time. With Lin Feng leading the way and the Xigu tribe's guards, the journey was uneventful. Ordinary winged tribe troops would avoid them if they saw them. Although it was easy to be exposed, Lin Feng didn't care. What he needed now was speed. So what if the Qi clan knew their whereabouts? The Qi clan only had 4 intermediate Black Domain Masters. The other 3 were probably outside. Even if they wanted to call them back, it would take time. As for the ordinary Qi clan's 6 winged people kings, he didn't care. As expected, the Qi clan's pursuers didn't appear until they reached the Chan River. They also knew that Lin Feng's group wasn't to be trifled with. Even Qi Feng had been killed. Even the other 3 intermediate Black Domain Masters would be afraid and wouldn't dare to act rashly. After all, the unknown was the most terrifying. We're finally back. A beautiful girl stood by the Chan River, allowing the sea breeze to caress her face and the waves to surge. Although the Chan River was called a river, it wasn't an ordinary river. It was a truly boundless ocean. Lin Feng looked at Tang Xian'er and then at the Chan River. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. In front of him was the Chan River that divided the Tingqi continent. Chapter 1496. The Chan River was a miracle of the Tingqi continent. Or rather, it was the nightmare of the winged men. The winged men, who had unified the Tingqi continent, had never been able to conquer the giant Chan River. At their peak, the winged men had entered the Chan River in high spirits, hoping to truly unify the Tingqi continent. However, they were wrong. In the Chan River, they had encountered an unprecedented disaster. When one first entered the Chan River, they could still sense a bit of spatial energy. However, the deeper they went, the less spatial energy they could sense. It was so thin that it was almost non-existent. How was the winged men strong? Spatial comprehension, spatial control, and the wings behind them. However, none of them could display their full power in the Chan River. Even the wings, which were omnipotent in close combat and defense, could not compare to the water of the Chan River. No matter how strong their bloodline was, it was useless. Their physical bodies might even be stronger than those of the Chan River demon race. However, in the Chan River, they were far from being comparable to the Chan River demon race. The Chan River could be said to have maximized its geographical advantage. We can go in now, Big Brother Lin Feng. Although Princess Tang Xian'er was indifferent to others, she was pleasant to Lin Feng. She smiled and did not act high and mighty at all. After all, Lin Feng had saved her twice. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. He looked at Bai Qi and the other White Wheel tribe experts and gestured to them. Then, he walked in front of the Xigu tribe cultivators and thanked them. Thank you for protecting us along the way. I owe you all a favor. If you need help in the future, please do not hesitate to ask. Brother Lin, you are too polite. Go Wu smiled. Being able to meet Brother Lin on this trip is already our greatest gain. No matter how hard one tried, flattery would never work. Go Wu was speaking the truth. An immortal chaos whole had the terrifying strength to kill an intermediate Black Domain Master. How terrifying would he be if he grew up in the future? Such an expert naturally had to be befriended. Lin Feng smiled. After bidding farewell to Go Wu, he saw Bai Tang walk over. You all can go first. I still have something to do. I need to go to the Xigu tribe. Oh? Lin Feng snorted. His gaze landed on that bright jade-like face. His eyes seemed to be hiding something. Big Sister Bai Tang, we were able to enter the Chan River today because of Miss Tang Xian. We might not be able to enter again next time. Lin Feng said, Chan River's territory is vast. If you go to the Zhigo tribe, you won't be able to find us when you come back. Bai Tang's expression was calm as he responded non-committally. There was a problem. Lin Feng's gaze suddenly fell on Go Wu. The latter's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly squeezed out a smile, but it was a very ugly smile. Sister Bai Tang, what conditions did you agree to? Lin Feng sighed softly. From the looks of Go Wu and Bai Tang, the two of them had almost no interaction. Bai Tang and Go Go were very unfamiliar with the human race. Why would an unfamiliar race risk their lives to help you? There must be something going on. One had to know that even the other tribes of the Whitetail tribe did not dare to help the Whitewheel tribe. The Zhengou tribe's help was completely unrelated. It was very strange. No, there were no conditions. Bai Tang shook her head repeatedly. But the more Bai Tang tried to hide it, the more certain Lin Feng's guess was. There must be some conditions, and they were probably unbearable conditions. Brother Go Wu, Lin Feng said. Brother Lin. Go Wu looked at Lin Feng, knowing what he wanted to say. He glanced at Bai Tang, wanting to say something, but stopped. What conditions did Big Sister Bai Tang agree to? I'll accept them on her behalf, Lin Feng said. Go Wu laughed bitterly, the pockmarks on his face looking even uglier. He shook his head and said, I won't hide it from you, Brother Lin. Bai Tang came to find me and promised to marry me willingly in exchange for my Zhigo tribe's troop. There was no coercion in this matter. So that's how it was. Lin Feng suddenly understood and looked at Bai Tang. The latter bowed her head slightly, as if in tacit agreement. Brother Go, you should know that a woman's chastity is more important than her life. Bai Tang was also at her wit's end, so she came up with this plan, Lin Feng said. I know. Go Wu nodded. But everything has a price. My Zhigo tribe can't be so kind as to protect the Bailuan tribe without asking for anything in return. If that's the case, how can we face our tribesmen who have sacrificed their lives for us? If you want to get something, you have to give something first. Don't you think so, Brother Lin? Lin Feng nodded. Go Wu was right, but name a price, Brother Go, Lin Feng said directly. Go Wu said, My Zhigo tribe doesn't lack money. Then what do you want? Lin Feng asked again. Her. Go Wu pointed at Bai Tang without hesitation. His goal was very firm. Except for her. Lin Feng frowned. Go Wu shook his head. Bai Tang was willing. I didn't force her. Although Go Wu respected Lin Feng's strength, that was another matter altogether. He was also determined to obtain Bai Tang. Brother Go, you're wrong. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. It's true that the cost is proportional to the reward. But what did Brother Go pay this time? That day, Brother Go promised Bai Tang to protect the Bailuan tribe. What was the result? Did you do it? Lin Feng's words were like pearls. Go Wu's expression turned ugly. Indeed, protecting the Bailuan tribe from head to toe had nothing to do with him. It was all Lin Feng's doing. But, Go Wu gritted his teeth and spoke hesitantly. No buts. Brother Go, I treat you as a friend. I also hope that you treat us as friends, Lin Feng said indifferently. He suddenly took out a space ring and handed it over. Here are 500,000 wing hearts. I can't let my brothers from the Zhigo tribe come here for nothing. If Brother Go accepts it, we'll be friends. I, Lin Feng, will owe you a favor. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Go Wu. Go Wu's expression kept changing. His hands sometimes clenched into fists and sometimes rubbed, but he couldn't make a choice. He naturally understood Lin Feng's meaning. He glanced at Bai Tang and then at Lin Feng. Okay, then I'll thank Brother Lin on behalf of my brothers. Go Wu took the space ring and nodded heavily. Sighing deeply, Gowu cupped his hands at Lin Feng. He then bid farewell to Bai Tang and the others and left. Looking at Gowu's back, Lin Feng sighed in his heart. He didn't want to do this either, but this time, the situation was indeed a little tricky. Sister Bai Tang's promise was really troublesome. Who asked him to owe her a favor? Lin Feng sighed in his heart. Gowu looks ordinary, but he's really a good person, Bai Tang said softly as she watched the Zhigo tribe leave. Good person? Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He glanced at Bai Tang and didn't say anything. Gowu agreed not because of anything, but because of his strength. In the North Continent, everything was fake. Strength was the most important thing. Gowu was also afraid. He was afraid that if they turned against each other, he would be the one at a disadvantage. Therefore, he could only compromise. Let's go, Sister Bai Tang. Everyone is waiting for you. We, to Chan River.